The following broadcast is intended for mature audiences. These are real people sharing very real, deeply personal experiences. This content may be considered triggering for others and for those who are sharing. The chat room is a privilege intended for discussions and sharing. You are not being asked to agree, but you are being asked to stay civil and refrain from personal attacks. Listener discretion is advised.
Sitting on the porch, there is so much on our minds. Grab ourselves a drink and now we're loving all mankind. We think the world should hear all the things we have to say as we drink and let our troubles float away.
Who are we?
Porch Drunkies, Porch Drunkies. Yeah, we're singing our special theme song. Porch Drunkies, Porch Drunkies. Have a drink, turn it up and sing along. Woo!
All right. Yeah, we are doing a little bit of a crossover thing here. This is E from Am I Mental? With us, as always, we do have C, the co-host.
Hello.
Unfortunately, Bexy is out sick tonight. She might jump in on the chat, but she is not going to be able to speak tonight. Now, normally this is a podcast where real people share real stories about their lives, living their lives with mental health issues and things that impact their mental health. But we have the Porch Drunkies on with us. So this episode's going to be a little more Porch Drunky-ish and a little less Am I Mental. So without further ado, come on, Porch Drunkies, introduce yourselves.
Good evening.
Hello.
This is Megan.
And this is Thomas.
All right, so
It's not a question of are we mental, because we already know that
duh.
we are mental, so that's okay. We're okay.
now I've known these guys for a long time. I really have. I was very honored to be invited to their wedding. Unfortunately, I was already married by the time. Well, Tommy did come to the engagement party, but then when the wedding came around, we just didn't have the room and money, and I'm sorry. But,
No, dude.
We didn't have the money either, but
right, but I mean, we've gotten closer since that time too, because at the time, like, I knew you guys came, that was cool, but we were still kind of distant. We're a lot closer now.
Yeah.
very much so.
Yeah. So this conversation, I can't promise that we're not going to swear. I can't promise that we're not going to get emotional. Tommy's drinking and I'm drinking, so
Megan's drinking too.
And Megan's drinking too. C can't
I'm
drink.
a little toasted.
But C can get toasted.
It's okay.
Okay.
So yeah, we're all kind of getting there. So yeah.
So I wanted to say something on the last podcast that we had posted. Thomas went on this really depressing tangent about, like, well, this is just the new normal, and like the way that things are, and like, maybe things are, we just have to deal with them. And I'm like, actually, no. And I was like, speaking of which, if you have somebody in your life that makes you feel all down and out, like, maybe you should listen to Am I Mental? Because sometimes, like, what we're going through, it's we need some help, and we need to realize that we're not alone in all this. So it's like, I totally gave you a mad shout out in your podcast.
Well, thank you.
On the last one.
Appreciate that. Yeah, actually,
Nice.
there was someone on Reddit in the Toast Me that they were pretty down and out, and they were just looking for a little pick-me-up. So I have a rule. If I toast someone, I go and roast someone. If I roast someone, I go and toast someone. I want that nice, balanced karma.
Middle
So,
ground.
yeah. But of course, if you're asking to be roasted, you're asking for it. So
Yeah.
And I never do a roast in mean spirit. I want them to be able to laugh about it.
Yeah.
But this person, they might be listening for the first time.
Awesome. Welcome.
Yes. And welcome to anyone that's a new listener. So I had questions last week about how to follow us. The way to do that is if you have the Spreaker app, the easiest way is to go into your alerts on anybody that you, like when you're listening to us, and turn on alerts. And then you'll get alerts from us when, we have alert. Be alert. The world needs more alerts. Mm-hmm. So, anything you guys wanted to chit-chat about? Because I know we are, once we get started, it's pretty easy for us to keep rolling because we feed off of each other quite well.
I mean, if you ask Megan, she'd be like, let Thomas get his video game talk out of the way so we can, move on past that. Because I have a habit of talking about video games for a lot. But I will say that I'm not really doing anything special, just playing Fallout 76. That's pretty much it. And that's mostly because of the seasons and the free stuff.
Gotcha.
You get free stuff.
Yeah, no, I've been playing a lot of classic World of Warcraft Burning Crusade. My protection pally is half a level away from 70. And as soon as they hit 70, I can equip the armor I got today on a run, which will give me just over 490 defense, which makes me uncrushable. Cannot be hit by crits.
Okay, I'm going to be the deer in headlights this time because I never played World of Warcraft other than, for about 20 minutes, and I gave up because the computer I was running it on was way too old to run it. Even at its lowest settings, I couldn't do any movements or do any attacks or do anything, so I got frustrated.
Oh, I can believe that. But yeah, if you decide to jump on the Classic now, it still has the system requirements from 15, 20 years ago. So any modern computer can just blast through it.
Wait, are you talking about the Warcraft, the real-time real-time strategy, the builder things?
Oh, no.
Work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Job's done.
Join the army, they said. See the world, they said. I'd rather be sailing. My tummy feels funny.
Yeah. I think I actually still have the original CD-ROM discs for that. Along with the code that's in the instruction manual that allows you to play it on the computer.
So if you have a really good sound card that does the S06E04 or S06E04, so it actually has built-in MIDI, you can load in different sounds and actually get the Warcraft 2 music to sound really fucking good.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
It's one thing that a lot of people didn't realize is that it was all MIDI code and it just uses whatever your sound card had loaded. So if you loaded in specific voices for okay, so instead of this cheap ass or horn sound, let's put in orchestral horns. Yeah. But
that would probably be quite a bit of difference from ambience.
Yeah. But I was talking about World of Warcraft. They actually found bugs that they didn't know existed because the computers back when they released it had to be pretty high end to play the game. And now regular even just entry level computers today are so much more powerful than the high ends back then that there are bugs that before it was your game will crash before you ever get to point X when you're say, I'm going to try to pull every monster in this instance. Yeah, can't be done. Well, now it can be done easily. And they found a bunch of exploits, so now they're trying to fix it. And it's at first their goal was change nothing. Now they're change some things because they want it to be how the game was intended as opposed to how the game is.
Oh, wow.
And I'm on board with that. And outside of that, the only other game that I'm going to be trying to get into, and I gotta get my PC set up and get it updated, is The Isle.
The Isle.
C heard about it. Go for it, C.
Oh my god! You play that game?
I will be as soon as I get my PC up and running and up to specs.
What is this game?
Oh my god!
He is beside themselves.
Yeah, C is shocked.
They're freaking out right now.
I am. Honestly, it is basically a dinosaur growing simulator where you're a dinosaur. You can choose herbivore or carnivore, and you're against everyone since the first you spawn till you're an adult. Depending on what servers you go on, you can play realistically or you can play as unrealistically as you want. You could just fight people.
Yeah, just do like
That's it.
pure
Minecraft.
PvP arena thing.
It's like a Minecraft for dinosaurs.
Yeah, and there's different types of herbivores you can be, different types of carnivores you can be, and basically what I've been told is if you play a carnivore, as fun as that sounds, you're basically borderline starving the entire time. You have to keep fighting to eat, and the thing is that herbivores can and will defend themselves against you. And they can kill you, too. So you have to be selective on which herbivores you go for.
Some AI, in the legacy version, as they call it, some AI will spawn if you get below a certain point of hunger. But the bigger carnivore you are, the less it fills you up. So the more you got to engage with other people. Or packs of players, which is very interesting, or herds. I love it.
Yeah, I really want to play this game. Like, I am dying. I heard about it from my son. I'm like, yep, I need to get that game. I need it.
If I had a PC, oh, go ahead.
They're working on a new branch of it. They call it Evrima. They already added a pterodon, Deinosuchus. They have a Tenontosaurus, the Utah Raptor, Carnosaur, Stegosaurus. I've got a full-grown Deinosuchus and pterodon on a realism server. I love it.
The one that I wish they had that I don't have is Ankylosaurus. I know they don't have it, but I want it.
It's funny because you're naming out all these dinosaurs, but the only reason why I know them is because I played Ark.
Ark is fucking amazing.
The more you explain it to me, I'm like, oh, so this is like the opposite side of Ark. You're not a human trying to survive. You're one of those dinosaurs. Do they have humans that roam around the isle?
No, I don't think so.
Oh.
Do they?
No, they want to add humans later on, and they're adding buildings to the new branch, and they have buildings on the old branch as well. They have a port that usually the Utahs hang around, so don't go to port.
Because you'll get fucked by a bunch of raptors.
Yeah, and they like harassing people. They especially love harassing T-Rexes for some reason.
Well, I mean, the bigger the thing is that you kill when you're a pack hunter, the better everybody eats.
That's true. Also, in Ankylosaurs, you can on the Legacy branch, but you either have to be nested in or injected.
Yeah. Ankylosaur is my favorite herbivore. Like, by far.
Triceratops is always my favorite dinosaur. I remember a song when I was like in the second, third grade. I had this song about the Triceratops, and I still sing it in the shower.
I just like that the Ankylosaur has a strong enough swing of the tail that it can shatter the leg bone of a T-Rex, rendering it dead, basically.
Is it an ankylosaur or an ankylosaur? Because I've always said ankylosaur.
That's how I've been saying it whenever we're playing an Ark. I'm like, we need an ankylosaur because we need these resources faster. Let's grab one of these things, tame it, and then I'm just gonna smash through all this rock and you pick it up, okay?
I heard it from someone on National Geographic as Ankylosaur.
Oh.
I've been saying it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said it wrong up
I've
until
been
then,
saying
too. I used to call it... Yeah, from, like, first grade on, I called it Ankylosaur, and then I heard Ankylosaur. I'm like, oh. They looked at the spelling and went, oh. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
It's fancy.
The things that we say mispronounce on purpose, like, I say, like, Canada. I always say Canada. And
Well,
then,
if they're Canadians, then they live in Canada.
right, they come from Canada. And then philosophical for philosophical. Right, just philosophical.
So my
philosophical question.
my now 20-year-old calls it a Parmesan, not Parmesan.
I never got the Parmesan, even Parmesan, because it's Parmesan. There's no I in there.
Okay, now we're just trying to make words sound fancy.
My-
Parmesan.
My biggest pet peeve on the planet is when they call it sherbet. I'm like, it's sherbet. Where's the second R?
Yep. It's that unnecessary R like Washington.
Wash your face. My mom was, get the washing cloth, wash your face. I'm like, can you spell that for me?
Or then there's, it looks like Worcestershire, but it's Worcestershire.
Somebody said it. They said, you pronounce this word, wash your sister. Oh!
No.
I didn't know Lee and Perrin were. Is it okay? Okay, we'll go with that. I mean, it's delicious. It's good for burgers and stuff, but
Oh, it's tasty in the right settings. It's actually pretty damn good. But there was a TikTok where they were explaining how to pronounce it, and I went ahead and took the audio and did it. And it's like it's war, and then you have the chest, you have the and then the shy You put it all together, and you have Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire. You know what's funny is there is a scene. Speaking of video games as well, still. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, like the newest one with the Vikings.
Yeah, I haven't played it since Brotherhood.
What was it? So there's a side quest, a short side quest, and the guy's like sitting there saying, maybe this sauce isn't going to work out and blah, 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 because he makes it after you give him all the ingredients and everything. And he's just like, I guess I'm just going to have to pick up my stuff, go and move to Worcestershire sauce. Or Worcestershire. He's like, who wants to name a sauce Worcestershire? All right, we got some. I just have to tell you, because we're on the back porch, because that's what we do. We're porch drunkies, and these flies are killing me.
Yeah, I see you swatting all over the place.
Yeah, I know.
There is a solution to that. More spiders.
We have this blue crystal-y stuff that we put out, but I had to move it because this equipment takes up a lot of room.
A lot of room.
I mean, some room, but oh well.
But this fly has Thomas's number. He's like, no.
Oh, I fucking hate when that fly has I don't care if there's other people and other surfaces. I want you.
It's sitting on the top of his laptop staring at him.
Right where the camera is. I'm waiting for him to come, just crawl in front of the camera so he'd be like, hey, what's going on here?
Oh, no.
It's sitting there making faces at you. Kat's saying that's never the answer. When I said the answer is more spiders, it's always the answer. My Black Widow now has 3 egg sacs, somewhere between 150 and 300 eggs total.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Lots of babies.
Yeah, and when they hatch, it's going to be Highlander rules. There can only be one.
Well, they're territorial spiders. It was funny. I got into a conversation with the PG&E guy that came by our house, and he started talking about spiders and everything. And I was just like, yeah, they're territorial and they don't like being around other spiders. And he's just like, oh, I didn't know that. And I'm like, I don't. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, the only spiders that I know of that are not territorial are the nursery web spiders, and they're found in the tropical rainforests of South America, and they will make humongous webs in the canopy where there's hundreds of spiders all cooperating, and yeah, they catch birds and then they share the meals. It's that whole thing, that whole pack hunter theory.
Oh, that's so nice. That's very nice of them.
Except for the birds.
Well, I mean, there's also the golden orb weavers. Their web is actually golden silk. And it is so strong that they do capture birds. And I'm talking robin-sized birds in their webs. Yep. It's rare, but they will.
Yeah. I'm a bird watcher. I'm like a Disney princess out on my back porch. We have a seed feeder and a hummingbird feeder on one. There's a double hook. And then we got too many hummingbirds coming to the one hummingbird feeder, and there's this little bitch ass ruby throat hummingbird that is way territorial. So I got 2 more hooks, like, and I sped them out over the yard with the hummingbirds. And he's literally like sentry, like flying between them and like trying to get it. I was like, no.
Oh,
can we capture him and put him in timeout, please? Because
hummingbirds are mean little fuckers.
yeah, they are, and they like smack each other in the air. Like there was one day last fall that I'm sitting outside, and all of a sudden I kept hearing this thwack, and I'm like, what is that? And they're hummingbirds, and they were fighting in the air, and they were doing that for like 8 hours, and I'm like, what is wrong with y'all? Like, is it something in the air? Like, is there a storm coming? Or like, is it they were like mama in the nest with the babies? Like, what is happening? And then like the next day they were fine. I was like, is there an earthquake coming? What's happening?
They just got tired of it.
No. But yeah, this red hummingbird, he's been coming around for like 3 years, 4 years, 4 years,
Something like that.
yeah.
No. Have we been feeding them that long? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I actually got to see at my grandparents' house. They had like 3 hummingbird feeders, and one came up to start feeding, and another one came dive bombing in and speared it right between the wings and the back, piercing its spine. Yeah, they are mean, bloodthirsty little fuckers.
Yeah. And they're a little persistent too. Like if we don't have food in the feeder, they'll come like fly up to your face like 2 feet from you and like hover and be like, "Hey, you gonna feed me sometime today?"
Yeah,
Maybe. I don't know.
Where the fuck's the food? They say WTF as in where's the food?
Where's the food?
I will
They
just.
serve a purpose.
I like spiders. Like, I will free handle most spiders. There's very few that I won't free handle. The Black Widow's one of them, even though I know you can free handle them safely. And the last person to die from a Black Widow bite was in the 80s, you know, in the U.S. But knowing my stupid luck.
Yeah. They say that it's okay, like, they will not bite you generally unless you accidentally, like, tug on their thread or their, what is it called? Their web.
Basically, if you hurt them or if you threaten their eggs, then only then will they bite. They really are a docile... They're not really docile, they're chicken shits.
Right.
They play dead or they run and hide. It's what they do.
Yeah.
And I've seen... I saw a video of a guy that actually had a live Black Widow in his mouth that he let crawl around and then put back in his face and then put back in his mouth again. Yeah, it was in the subreddit Make Me Suffer.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's very accurate.
Right? Even I, when he started forcing the Black Widow back in his mouth, and the mouth parts of the Black Widow were up against his lip, I'm like, fuck, man, you mess up a little bit, that sucker's going to jab you.
Yeah.
You know?
Playing with fire.
Yeah. And, I mean, spiders do dry bites, which is they stick their fangs in you as a warning, but they don't actually inject any venom.
Right.
But do you really want to risk that?
Right, no. No, thank you.
Okay, Kat, we'll be done with the spiders now.
Yeah, I was about to say trigger warning.
You know, that's actually a discussion I got into recently, too, it was, of course, Reddit, about how some people just take trigger warnings way too far.
Yeah. Well, I have trypophobia, and so I can't be like trigger warning because like a lot of people don't understand. Oh, like you're looking at a honey, like a beehive, and that they don't think of that as like a trypophobia trigger. And it's not always for me, but there's certain times where like there's a hive or something like that that's on a black background, and that is what freaks me out.
So
like, botfly nest, no fucking thank you. Ever burn it to the ground.
Right, and trypophobia, I mean, I know what it is.
Yeah.
You do know that it's not recognized as a actual phobia because you should be freaked out about things that are unnatural, like a bunch of holes in your hands that looks like a beehive.
Yep. Yes.
But I get what it is. You know,
that's the reason why there is. I mean, it's not a phobia. It's one of those things that, like, in natural instinct, should say to you, "Let's avoid that." You know? Yeah.
You know, it's like when you see something flying around that's black and yellow, you don't swat it.
Right.
I mean, I do, but I have pretty damn quick hands, having played drums for 20 years. So, I have backhanded a yellow jacket out of the air without getting stung. I'm allergic to them too. It was the get the fuck out of my face. Bap! and then run up and stomp on it before it recovers from being stunned.
Stunned a little bit.
It's almost like a Mortal Kombat kind of finisher move. Get over here.
Get over
Finish
there.
him.
Get over here!
Speaking of TikTok, there was a TikTok that I saw, and I had thought about it when you said TikTok earlier, and I cannot remember what it was.
TikTok
I'll just do
is...
that.
TikTok's so... It's so cancer.
It is.
I mean, there are some really great people on there. Don't get me wrong. I've had a couple of guests come from there. One of them was, absolutely amazing. I don't know if you guys listened to the episode with Courtney. Her episode was astounding, and found her on TikTok. It was like, again, one of those things of, hey, if you want to plug yourself, by all means,
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of TikTok is.
I think it depends on what, like, your likes and stuff like that. Like, I take an active interest in like, well, of course, like cat videos and anything having to do with huskies,
Yes.
and then video games and like a lot of random stuff. But if it's stuff that's just toxic in general, like, I'm like, hold, not interested. Cool, thanks. I don't want to see much more of that, because that's just dumb, and that's not helpful to anybody.
Yeah.
By any means. Even so, like, the person who's usually speaking it, though, it's not advantageous to them either, because all it is perpetuating that toxic, like, behavior.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. And I mean, that's one thing that it's just like a lot of people are so unaware of is toxic behavior begets toxic behavior.
Yep. Yeah. I had seen a TikTok about cognitive behavioral therapy, and this person was downplaying or talking about how toxic cognitive behavioral therapy is. And I'm like,
what?
I disagree. I was like, maybe you don't like cognitive behavioral therapy because you can't manipulate people to do what you want them to do because they understand it. I'm like, oh my God, block that person. Like, I'm not going to say censor them, because anybody who has any kind of understanding of CBT should know that this person's full of shit. But
Well, I've always stood on don't block and don't censor them. Let them show the world how stupid they are. Let the world show the world how toxic they are.
Yeah, let them dig their own grave. Really,
Exactly.
Right, but I can take accountability, or not accountability. I can take action on my own, exposure to that. I'm not saying block them in general, or I'm not saying it's not a cancel culture thing. Like, I don't want them canceled. I don't want to block them, like, from a platform or from a medium of any sort. But I myself can choose as an individual.
Oh, yeah.
This is not something that I'm interested in, so I don't want to see this thing anymore. And let's just go ahead and not look at that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I'll mute people where I don't have to see it anymore, but I'm not going to, like, be all, you can't comment on my stuff anymore. It's just, you're just not going to get a response from me, because guess what? For all I care, you're invisible.
Yep. The snooze for 30 days on Facebook. Well, a couple of years ago, I was like, oh, that's a really great fucking thing. But once they got out of timeout and they were still talking all their bullshit, I was like, okay.
I'm done.
I gave you your timeout. And some of the people I loved, and I was like, it's not that I don't love you as a person. It's just you're perpetuating this toxic nonsense. And I'm like, for my mental health, I can't even see it. Like, I've removed, like, my sister-in-law. I'm like, I can't do it. I can't even. So I hear people like, oh, did you see what you posted? I was like, no, nor do I want to, because you're just going to tell me anyways, and it's going to infuriate me. So why would I want to see that? Don't tell me anything about that.
Yeah, and I had to go, it's like, I don't mind having opposing viewpoints pop up on my Facebook feed. I actually like it. It helps me to get a more balanced, more realistic worldview. And it helps to challenge me and make me real, because sometimes you may not know exactly where you stand on something until you're challenged.
Yeah.
But there were some people, like, I will not deal with people that have that my way or the highway mentality.
Yep.
So when I saw friends doing that shit during the election cycle, I'm like, I love you, but boom, you're gone.
Yeah.
Boom, you're gone. I won't take that. If you're
Yeah.
willing, it's fine. Speak your opinion. But when you start saying, and if you disagree with me, X,
Yeah.
bye.
Yeah, that's the reason. And it's not just like, oh, they say things and I disagree with them. It's the fact that you can't challenge them without them coming back to insult you. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that is not conducive to like a normal conversation. That's not normal human behavior. And I understand, like, you know, we should be friends, we should be family, let's all get along. But like, I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, it's a mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain an idea without adopting it.
Exactly.
So us having like normal discord about a conversation that we may or may not agree on. You and I, we don't agree on everything, but I'm totally down with like us having a conversation to like just so that I can gain a different perspective. And I may not walk away with the same perspective as you, but at least we came about it in a respectable way, you know?
Right, and there's nothing wrong with agreeing to disagree if it's an either or with no middle ground.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yep.
I mean, we tend to agree more often than not, I've noticed.
Yeah. But I think sometimes that you take a stance, you're like, I'm going to disagree with this person, just see what they do.
I do! I actually do!
Like, okay, troll, go back under your bridge.
Well, no, it's not necessarily trolling. It's let me play the devil's advocate and see if I really do stand where I stand by taking a different approach.
Yeah.
That sounds very familiar. I don't know where from.
You do it too, don't you?
Yeah.
I sure do.
I'm used to it. I live with it.
But
I've thought about this.
But for me, it's about better understanding. And some people don't get that, and they get all pissed off, like, oh, you're flip-flopping. I'm like, no, I'm really not. I'm just exploring another direction to see, do I really stand where I think I stand?
Yeah.
You know, there was, I can't remember the exact quote or who said it off the top of my head right now, but it had to do with, like, if you can debate somebody else's argument better than they can, then you have like a chance to you I can't remember.
You could potentially change their mind or something.
You could potentially change your mind or something.
Yeah.
It's like until you put yourself in that person's shoes and you try to understand from where they're coming from, and then you could debate with all your heart on that. It's like being in debate class back in high school. It was like you may have been assigned a topic and you may not agree with it personally, but your goal or your job was to debate that argument.
Yeah.
And
To the best of your ability.
To the best of your abilities,
Yeah.
but you had to put the work in. There were some people who just basically took that and said, like, well, I don't agree with this, so I'm just going to half-ass it, and I'm going to, like, do this. And more times than not, the teachers knew that they half-assed it, and they didn't believe in their argument.
Yeah.
Because it's like, any sane person can come into this room, debate you, and win, because your argument is garbage.
Yeah. My senior year, I had to argue. I was in favor of radio censorship, and I'm like, but I'm not though. I mean, let's create a safe space for everyone to go. No, because little did I know at that point, like radio censorship turns into censorship on your social media and now your text messages and stuff, and it's like,
Right.
no, this all could have been prevented back in 2000 when I was a senior in high school.
And then you get people going, oh, you're just doing the slippery slope fallacy. It's like, look, I understand the slippery slope fallacy, but there is also a legitimate slippery slope.
Yes, there is.
You just have to be able to differentiate the two and be able to realistically identify one.
Yep.
I think being able to say, so if you have the ability to say slippery slope and then bring the data to back it up and support it,
Yeah.
it's like, this is a slippery slope because historically, here's what's happened.
Yeah.
And you bring the data and you bring the facts and you're like, this is why I see it going this way if we go this route.
Yeah.
It's when it's the inability to accept that
Yeah.
and that data, that's the part where I just get frustrated. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know where else to go. Like, I can only explain something so many times, and like, I don't know where else to go at that point.
Mhm.
It's like, you're still not getting it, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sorry. I keep looking at Megan because oh, I just said her name.
That's fine. I said my name at the beginning of the
Oh, yeah.
podcast, Thomas.
Yes,
Yeah.
she did.
I keep looking over at Megan because it's like, I'm used to having a podcast and like always talking to her and like doing this. And I'm like, there's other people here. Oh my God.
Wait, let me look at the camera.
Right.
Look at the camera.
Look at the camera, and I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. So
But yeah, no. When someone does that, where they ignore the data, I'm like, you know what? you're a willfully ignorant, stupid motherfucker, and I'm done talking to you. Period.
Oh, yeah.
I just brick wall from that point forward because like you're not here in good faith.
Yep. My biggest thing is, well, I've done this research and it's like, well, these are the links that I provided. Well, where exactly in the link does it say that? It's like, well, I gave you the link. You can read it. You can go and fucking read it. And like, don't just look at the headline. Go read the actual thing. And I'm sorry, but in this time, especially with the pandemic, so many news sites were like, oh yeah, like a new study, but they wouldn't link the study. And it's like, no, don't tell me what the study said. Show me the study so I can read it myself. I can hand it over to my immunologist friend and say, can you read this and tell me if that's what they're actually saying? Or if it was like, they're taking like some kind of like thing with this abstract and making a policy out of it, because that's what I was seeing like 99% of the time. I was like, this is garbage.
Oh yeah, they take the abstract, but they don't actually look at the data.
Right.
And then you get stupid policies. Oh yeah, and methodology. It's easy to spot shit methodology.
I know.
And like people will post a link. It's like, well, here's my data, and I'm like, your methodology in here is fucked.
Right.
And they're like, no, it's not. I was like, yeah, it is. And that's why you're sharing this link off of some stupid ass, non-credible, I've never heard of before website that is filled with spam and clickbait all over the place in order to fund themselves, and not in a scientific journal. If it was credible, I should be able to pull it up on, like, say, I don't know, the Lancet.
Right. Well, let's see. PubMed. Let's go PubMed first.
But the
Lancet had to. Never mind. We're not getting into this right
now.
now.
Now, the one thing that's beautiful about PubMed, and this is one thing that a lot of people don't realize, is that PubMed keeps everything published.
Everything. Yep.
Even if it's been redacted, retracted, whatever, it's still published because it had been done, which is how they keep themselves transparent. Your job is to go to Redaction Watch.
Yes. And not only that, the whole thing with PubMed is like, that is what scientists, that establishment is what scientists use to find out if they have a hypothesis. It's already been done before. Like, is there a study that has been done based on this hypothesis or something that was close to it? Like, it's not just for, Joe Blow on the street to read. It's for scientists to use to say, like, okay, well, maybe their methodology was wrong. Maybe they need a different, like, a subset of cases or whatever, It's like, and that is how you get new science. Like, science is never settled. If you ever have a question about science is never settled. Like, once you have a question, you have a potential hypothesis. You could have a new theory, and that's a new study. Like,
well, I mean, just look at the laws of thermodynamics. We have a zeroth law because it's more foundational than the first law, and they couldn't go, well, I guess it's law 0.5. I mean, they could have, but they went ahead and said, okay, we're going to call it the zeroth law. Evidence that science can change. Yeah. The theory of gravity. Now, the difference between a scientific theory and a personal theory is unbelievably different. And a lot of people use that word interchangeably to fit their agenda, and it's fucking annoying. Because
I'm not a scientist.
Yeah, I'm not a scientist, but I understand the theory of gravity. Mm-hmm. It is borderline law because you can measure it, you can predict it, you can everything about it is like, it's predictable, it's consistent. The only reason that it's still a theory is that we haven't found its source. Mm-hmm. That is literally why it's still a theory. That is the only. And there, it's like, well, that's the what was it, that Higgs-Boson particle or whatever? The God particle? Boson, yeah.
Higgs boson.
Higgs boson. Now, one thing I've heard is they still haven't found it yet. And if they don't find it, their entire understanding of physics gets shattered. So.
God.
I took physics in junior high, but I don't remember all of it.
I took physics in high school, and I don't remember very much.
I remember some of the basic principles, but other than that, no.
Yeah.
It's just an analytical mind, just because of the work I do on a regular basis. Just how my brain is wired, I guess.
Hey, I do tech support.
It's always been that way.
It's like I do tech support. I have an analytical mind. Meanwhile, Deverne and Kat are having a conversation in the chat.
He actually made a good point, and that was one of the things that I was really bringing up with the censorship thing. Was the question is, who really has the truth? The truth is in the middle of everything, And if you're censoring based on, well, that's not true, it's like, well, who said? Because like I've seen things on my side that say that it is true or could be potentially be true. So why is it untrue? And who's the arbiter of truth? Why does anybody have to be?
Science.
How about the about face on hydroxychloroquine? Did you guys hear about that?
That was politicized completely, and that just pisses me off.
Exactly. That is bullshit. That is something that they're now going, oh yeah, that with zinc actually does help, like they said before. Mm-hmm. But political reasons bad.
Yep.
And I'm not trying to support anybody. I'm not trying to defend anybody. I'm like, you took an option off the table that could have saved lives, you sick, disgusting fuckers. Regardless of who's in office, that is immoral, unethical, and unacceptable.
Yep.
Well, part of it also, though, is this just recently when they're asking the scientists, like, well, why didn't you come up with this information sooner? It's like they didn't want to be associated with the president that was in office at that time.
Right, and that's bullshit. It's like, it doesn't matter that he's the president. You discovered this. Exactly. You are the one that did the research. You are the one that did the trials. You're the one that figured it out. And you could have saved lives, but you decided to let people die because political reasons. Yeah. That is fucking disgusting.
Crimes against humanity is what it is. And that's it. The problem and like my cause of mental health right now, my mental health issues, is that nobody's being held accountable. Like, how many people died, and this could have been prevented. I mean, I'm not saying 100% of the people wouldn't have died. No. But I'm saying that, like, at least 80%. And even if they had underlying conditions, you're getting that thing that's actually exacerbating those underlying conditions, and you could have been curing it.
Exactly.
And nobody's being held accountable for this. And I'm like, who do I call to get a Nuremberg trial going? Because how did it happen in the 50s? What is happening?
Right. And again, like you were saying, I mean, even if it was as low as 10% people were saved by using it, that's 10% more people alive today that lost their lives needlessly.
Yep.
And, and the whole thing, even if you want to jump on the other side of the political aisle, you absolutely can. There's you can blame both sides for a lot of bullshit that happened with this virus.
Yep. I agree. And I'm not, that's the thing. It's, I heard about hydroxychloroquine back in January and February of last year. I was watching Dr. Didier Rioux from France, and he was doing his own case studies of his patients. And he's like, as soon as they came down with COVID, I gave them this protocol, and 100% of them stayed out of the hospital. None of them died.
Right.
And it's like,
early intervention was amazing with that.
Yes, it was. And that wasn't politicized. He was in France. Like, that was not, I was a Trump's admin person. It's like, no, that was in France, and he got shut down. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, and then they took it off the market, like, oh, no, nobody could get it. The doctors would prescribe it for their patients, and the pharmacies were like, yeah, we can't give that to you.
No, they were pulling medical licenses if you prescribed it for
outside of lupus, because they were giving it to lupus patients for like 30 years.
It's for malaria patients in Africa.
Yeah. No, I know, but they were using it off-label for lupus because it was helping with their symptoms.
Right, it's been over 60 years that it's been in practice.
Yeah.
Like, it is an established trial period with thousands and probably millions of like just studies and data that you could probably use in order to say, like, hey, maybe we should give this a try.
Well, they would do that. Like, you go to your doctor and say, hey, I'm going to feed you. They're like, okay, pop this for like a week, like candy, and then you would be gone. They're like, this helps with malaria. You're not going to get malaria.
Yeah, say you're going to travel to a malaria place and then take a bunch of zinc with it, and you're good.
We couldn't, though, because we're all in lockdown. All the airports were closed. You know, international travel. I'm going to Texas. There's malaria there, I guess.
Florida?
God, sorry.
Yeah, meanwhile, just watching C's face through all of this has been amazing. It's like there's just so much information being thrown here.
It's like, all right, old people, come on.
Sorry,
I have no clue what's going on.
It's just, long and short of it is that and I don't mean to speak on behalf of you guys. You guys could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the stance is overall, we're pissed off that this virus got politicized and people died because of it. And it doesn't, and I'm not trying to point fingers at one side or the other. Both sides hold culpability in this.
Yes, I agree.
Definitely.
Yeah, one side more than the other, but that's just being nitpicky and pedantic and doesn't really need to be considered.
Well, that's the thing. Fauci shouldn't be on his side. Fauci is like the National Institutes of Health, right?
He shouldn't be honest, but he also helped to fund this fucking thing.
Yes, I know.
I don't think it's nitpicky to define like responsibility as far as like how much responsibility, because if you'd still look at the data, right? You'd still look at the data, you'd still look at the facts, and then you'd try to make an educated like decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so
I just think
how's
and
this?
I'm not gonna put sides to either way. I'm just saying, like, do the research, figure out the supporting data, apply that supporting data, and then figure out how you're going to resolve it. Like it's not. It shouldn't be this hard.
Exactly. And in the end, and I think that a good way to put it is like, after it's all said and done, and after we finally get this shit under control, we could go do a quote-unquote post-mortem and go back and find out who holds the brunt of the blame and who holds the minority of the blame, and properly and appropriately go, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You know what? Screw you, but fuck you.
I'm out. We call that
fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool, fuck you, I'm out.
Yes.
We call that in
No explanation further.
in analysis world, we call that a retrospective. Like, we finished our project, let's go back and figure out if they're like what we could have done differently, like what could have made it more successful or better or whatever. But yeah, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But I think that it's really interesting what's happening now, because there's a lot of people that were very much afraid at the beginning of last year that now they're hearing about the Delta variant. And they're like,
Or the Lambda
cool,
variant.
bro. Like, yeah, definitely going to lock myself down again or not, you know?
Right, and it's like, okay, you know what? I got vaccinated, and there is data that supports that if you took one of the mRNA, basically the two-shotters, Pfizer or Moderna vaccines, that it is fairly good against Delta. Not perfect, but fairly good. Well, I happened to be there. But I didn't want to be locked down to begin with. I really didn't.
No.
I mean,
I don't think we should have.
initially, when we didn't know what it was, fine. I get it. 14 days to flatten the curve. After 14 days, it didn't work. Open up.
Yep.
Try something different.
No.
Doubling down on a failed policy is just doubling down on failure.
Yep.
And here we at day 400 and something. I have no clue what year it is anymore.
I know it's
Are humans still in charge?
It's the lizard people, definitely.
No.
They're the lizard people now.
it feels like Wall-E, you know? We're on year 372 of our 5-year journey.
He's like, that's our septuagesquicentennial.
Okay, so Kat just said fully vaccinated and continue to wear masks in public. You know what? And that's totally fine.
That's fine too. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to complain about anybody that wears a mask in public. I'm not going to complain.
I will never tell somebody that they should make a different choice. My whole thing has always been, do not tell me what choice I have to make. Like, oh, I'm an Aquarius. I'm gonna fuck you up because, like, oh no, little Miss Independent here. Oh, you don't tell me how to live my life. And I'm sorry. Like, I understand that there's. I just informed choice, informed consent is a big thing.
Yeah, and
you know,
a lot of it too. Like a lot of people I knew, had you simply said, "Here's the data, we recommend that you wear a mask."
Yeah.
We would have had far more compliance. Because
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that they simply didn't wear a mask because they were told, wear a mask. And no other reason. They had the data, but it's that rebellious spirit. Is it the right thing to do? I don't know.
Yeah. I had a big issue with my anxiety with mask wearing. And it wasn't, there were days that I'm like, okay, I can wear a mask today, it's fine. But there were days that I'm like, I cannot do this. It takes too much for me to even go outside of the house. I have to get groceries for my family. I can't do it today. And a lot of it was my struggle with seeing people, like, I'm not there. I can't tell their emotions. I can't see them, you know, like I'm surrounded by like I don't even know how like it affected me
Eyeballs.
or how it like really
It's eyeballs.
and they were
That's all it
they were
was.
diverted eyeballs. Like even with masks on, like nobody had eye contact anymore. And this was like in May, and I'm like, what is happening? Like this has been like 2 months, and these like what is happening? What is happening right now? And I like fight or flight, and I was like, I can't do this. So I fled.
And I mean, I think that with people, especially people with anxiety, spoon theory could apply.
Mm-hmm.
Because some days are more anxious days than others.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot more effort to do the most basic things on some days.
Yep.
I am an extrovert,
Right.
like a super extrovert. I make friends everywhere I go. Not really friends, they're acquaintances, but I make a lot of. I talk to anybody. It doesn't matter who they are or what they look like or anything. Like Megan's been a part of this. She's just like, oh, who's your new friend? And I'm like, oh, it's this person.
Yep.
They're awesome.
I will strike up a conversation with the perfect stranger standing in line. I am probably the most anxious extrovert you may ever find.
Yeah.
I'm also one of the least nerdy IT people you'll ever meet. Yes, I like my video games. I don't care for anime. I think I hate Doctor Who.
I don't like Doctor Who either, but I like anime.
I mean,
I do have to say that.
I really loved Death Note. I found that one absolutely amazing.
I couldn't get so much into that one. My son got into that, like heavily. We even got him. I got him the manga Volume 1 series, like in the well, because I'm also trying to help him to like expand his reading.
So I gave him a comic book.
Right, because it's got pictures.
Hey,
it's
21, by the way, just so you know.
It'll make him want to read more. He doesn't want to read.
Right, and that's like, for me, I was actually proud that I didn't read very much. I was like, you know what, you're spending all that time in a book. I'm actually out doing shit. Was my attitude. And then I got assigned The Hobbit, senior year of high school. Mm-hmm. And I kept putting it off until I was like, okay, I have a test in the morning. I need to actually sit down and fucking read at least like a third of the book.
Yeah.
I finished the book in one night. And I was hooked.
Yeah, definitely.
And then after that, someone handed me Dragons of Autumn Twilight, from the Dragonlance series of books from Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. One chapter in, I was hooked. And I read almost everything they ever published together. And then someone was like, oh, if you like that, you want a little more adult series? Check out The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan.
Thomas just downloaded that yesterday, and I've had that for a couple of years, but I've only gotten to like the second book. It just slowed down real quick, and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, it was originally Tor wanted a trilogy. Robert Jordan was saying it's going to be at least 5 books. Robert Jordan fucking lied. It was 15 books all said and done. And it is amazing. And it does slow down, but you really have to. It has to.
Yeah.
Because it really delves into the interpersonal relationships. A lot of character development. I mean, tons of character development.
Yeah.
A lot of the politics involved. It is really good. Now, had George R.R. Martin not been an absolute troll dickhead who literally killed off characters because people liked them,
right? Yeah.
As opposed to organically killing them, I would have recommended Game of Thrones as a even better series. But his MO was he paid attention to social media and then deliberately killed off popular characters. I was like, that's not organic.
It's a dick move. Like I don't care how you look at it. It's a dick move.
Yeah, it's a dick move. Now, if you write stories that are character driven, completely character driven, and you let the plot develop organically, those are the best.
Yeah. Yep.
Atlas Shrugged, for example.
Atlas Shrugged. It's a great book.
Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving. Hank Reardon's tirade. Dear God, even the chapter.
Oh.
The one really long chapter, but it was "This is John Galt speaking."
Yes. Yep.
Oh, that was like porn for me.
Yeah. It's like chills. Oh, yeah.
Oh, Kat was just saying. Kat was saying, I evidently have one of those faces complete strangers always share with me in stores, etc. No, I'm the one
They
that.
have really kind eyes, Kat. You're like, oh, I need to talk to this person.
It doesn't matter for kind eyes or not. Like
Yeah.
it's just like you're a person. I can talk to you. That's pretty much how I approach every situation. It's just like you're a person. I can talk to you and have a conversation.
And then I'm like the same way. Oh my god, you're a person. We're having a conversation.
Yes, this is awesome.
This is the best. Basically, I think that we're both Labrador retrievers in spirit.
That's actually a really good analogy right there. That's based on what I've seen from Labrador retrievers and how their mannerisms are. Like it does kind of seem that way. It's just like this is my favorite thing. It's like you're a person. That's my favorite thing.
Oh my god, it's a ball. It's my favorite thing. Food's my favorite thing. No, I was actually told that that basically I am a Labrador retriever in the flesh. Mm-hmm. And I really looked at my lab, Sadie, and I went, fuck, he's right.
Just far less furrier. Yeah, just...
Yes.
There are days.
Yeah, there are some days.
Oh, I absolutely love the water. You get me near water, I'm in it.
It used to be that way as long as it's not the ocean. I just don't like... It's funny because I love the ocean, but I hate the ocean.
Yeah,
the whole reason why I started trying to surf when I was younger was to try and get over the fear of the ocean.
Immersion therapy.
Yeah, and the whole thing... I mean, in the Santa Cruz area, there's
some good surfing in Santa Cruz.
Yes, but there's also an area that is known to have great white shark sightings. And
sightings is putting it lightly.
Yeah, I know sightings is putting it lightly, but I wasn't going to go there. But it was a version of immersion therapy for me, just because of the fact of I just don't like not being able to see what's underneath me. And the same thing happens with the lakes, lakes where I can't see anything but below me.
When the water's really low at Folsom Lake, and you're swimming and you feel like a tree, you're like, what is that? Is it a fish? What is that?
I will freak out like it's the creature from the Black Lagoon touching my toe.
Yeah, I don't swim in murky water. Period.
I will, because if I'm hot or we're at the lake or doing something, of course, I'm gonna get in the water. But if something touches me and I'm not expecting it, I'm gonna freak the f out, and then I'm gonna run towards the shore. I'm gonna look like the lizards that can run on water when they're running fast enough. But
the frilled lizards.
Yeah.
Jesus lizards.
I love that name. So
my hair's not long enough anymore, and that would actually have more context to it. I'm getting there, but I'm not quite there yet. Plus, Megan keeps trying to tell me you should do a mullet.
He
I'm
needs to do a mullet.
I haven't had a mullet since I was 12 years old. So
me too.
No.
I haven't had a mullet since before junior high.
Did you ever have a ducktail?
No.
No.
I never did.
Just
the one little long rat tail.
Rat tail. Did you ever have a rat tail?
I did.
Yeah. No, I mean, I know there is actually a ducktail. It's kind of like a rat tail, but it's just a flat little strip. Yeah.
Yep. Floopy. Yep.
Kat saying that mullets are back in style. I don't fucking care. There's no such thing as an in-style mullet.
I think if I got a mullet for some reason, I'd probably go roaming around with a bush light in my hand and yelling America.
While blasting Metallica with the wraparound sunglasses that you can't see through because they're that golden blue and yellow color thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm perpetuating stereotypes right now, but I mean...
Yeah, it's
1980s
really. Rad, okay? That's the stereotype. Cool boy.
Did you ever watch the movie Idle Hands?
Yes.
Every single time, the one dude with the lifted truck shouting at the devil.
My favorite, every time I think of Idle Hands, this is the scene that plays in my head. I am Leatherface! And and he walks away and it unplugs from the wall. He's like, damn it.
Yeah, the turkey carver. Look at me, I'm Leatherface! Ah! Oh.
Oh, God.
That, I think, was one of Devon Suarez's absolute best movies. And, I mean, honestly, you can't really say that about a lot of Devon Suarez movies.
I mean, he was Casper, okay? And he asked if he could keep me. And I was like, of course, Devon Sawa, my 12-year-old self. You can keep me.
He was good in Final Destination, too.
So,
Those
Please.
fucking movies.
I have a horrible time with actors' names and who they played in a movie.
So
Who is-
Devin Swaro is the one that had the demonically possessed hand.
He was the blonde guy.
oh, he was also in SLC Punk.
Yes, he was this guy.
Yep.
Mhm.
I remember him. That was where I knew him from. Was SLC Punk before that? Before Idle Hands.
So see, Idle Hands is basically a cult classic. It never did well in theaters. It was basically almost a direct to VHS kind of movie, but it was Devin Swaro. It was also Jessica Alba, like as she was becoming famous, and Sean Green, was that his name?
Seth Green.
Seth Green,
Okay.
as he's
Seth Green.
becoming famous. Before Robot
Also
Chicken.
the voice of Joker from the Mass Effect series.
Ooh, did not know that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like it was one of those movies where you have up and comers and a bunch and some like had beens for the star power that they once had, and it's about this guy whose hand gets basically possessed by the devil, and it is a slapstick, funny as fuck movie, perfect for stoners.
Agreed.
Well, I mean, half the time they were getting
Interesting.
high.
Exactly.
So
And I think that's how he got possessed. His hand got possessed because he got
Oh, yeah.
stoned and did something stupid.
no, it was Idle Hands. So Idle Hands are the devil's playground. That's the whole premise of it, right? So Idle
Oh, he's a
Hands.
slacker too.
He's a slacker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All he ever did was just smoke weed and
And jerk off.
do nothing for the most part.
But he had one hand that was literally the most idle hand in the world, so that therefore it got possessed.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting premise.
It is a horribly awesome movie. Like seriously, this is like pinnacle B-rate. Just
So bad it's good.
exactly like Sharknado is pinnacle B-rate.
No, Sharknado is
Like D.
bad B movie. Like that is the we used to have at one of my old
Well,
jobs.
yeah, but I mean, you watch Sharknado because you knew it was going to be stupid and campy.
Well, yeah. I mean, you
Where
do that.
Idle Hand, it wasn't all that stupid and campy. It was clever and funny, but it was still a
Yeah.
B-rate movie.
Yeah, you don't have sharks come flying at you, and you're killing them with like chainsaws. And,
Dive into its mouth with a chainsaw.
that's
I was like,
Hasselhoff, right?
that needs to be that's either a need to Men in Black or a ripoff to Men in Black. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, and that was a nod. I really love that gun. Eat me.
Eat me.
And can we just say that Johnny Knox had a very... He should have gotten an Academy Award in Men in Black, because holy shit, he really looked like he was moving around inside of somebody else's body. He was so fucking good as that cockroach.
What is his name?
Edgar suit.
Yeah, the Edgar suit. That was Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah.
The dude from Jackass.
Not in the first one.
Yeah, he was the cockroach dude.
No, that was not Vince Vaughn, but
That's it, I'm looking it up. IMDb time.
it's the other one, not Vince Vaughn, but God, what was his name? Like this random name.
No. They remade it? Men in Black International? What the fuck?
Oh no, that's not
No.
remake. That's spreading across the pond to London.
That's just
So
stupid.
everybody's pip pip cheerio and good
it's
and proper.
Vincent D'Onofrio, I think his name. D'Onofrio.
I'm looking it up now.
Vincent, yeah,
You're
it's
right.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
You're
Yeah.
right, it is Vincent D'Onofrio. Okay, he should have won an Academy Award for his role, because holy
He should've.
shit.
Yeah.
He looks like the Incredible Hulk's like dad. He should be like God, I don't know why his name is escaping me at the moment. What is
Oh god, I know.
Bruce
Banner. Bruce
Mhm.
Banner. It should be Bruce Banner's dad. That's pretty much Bruce Banner's dad right there.
Only he was hulked out and then his skin went back, but it was not like
Mark
it didn't-
Ruffalo.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, he does look like Mark Ruffalo's dad.
I mean, the picture that I'm looking at from the thing. Oh, Rip Torn. That's another one.
Man, I hate that he died. He was so funny.
there's a lot of celebrities. It's pretty sad when, like, you get to my age and, like, the people that you grew up with in movies and series and TV shows and everything else like that are, like, no longer on this planet. And it sucks. And it's a testament. It's a kids in general are a good timekeeper. When you have a kid, that is a good timekeeper for knowing how much time has passed by.
No shit.
But seeing the people that you grew up with, like David Bowie, Labyrinth, right? Christopher, not Christopher Connolly, Jennifer Connelly, another person, aged really well, by the way.
Yes, she did.
Surprisingly,
yeah.
She's married to the guy who played Vision in the Marvel movies.
Really?
Isn't she?
Jennifer Connelly.
I think she's married to the guy who played Vision and Tony Stark's AI. But the guy who played Vision, it's
the
his
blonde
real
guy.
wife.
Okay. What is his name?
He was also in Heath Ledger's A Knight's Tale. And
fuck, that was a great movie.
Yeah, it's so good. Yep.
Welcome to the movie hour.
Right.
No, this is just mostly C is probably like, I have no clue what you guys are talking about. Just gonna say that.
Yeah. He's a perfect.
The only thing I do relate to is the kid thing, because it really does show that time has flied.
It really does.
It's like if you go and look at, like, okay, I grew up with the Goonies, about the same age, and then fucking look at them today, I'm just like, my God, I'm old. Actually, what's funny is that Jennifer Connelly has aged a lot to look a hell of a lot like Andie MacDowell.
Kinda, yeah.
They have a similar way that they age.
MacDowell was actually beautiful at her age.
She's gorgeous.
She's like ageless queen. I love her.
Oh yeah, one of my best friends on Facebook. I've met, like, we've been friends since grade school. We were in band together. We took road trips together when we got out of high school. He saw a picture of him recently. I was like, dude, do you ever fucking age? He's like, my hairline recedes. I'm like, yeah, but you still don't age. That's not the point.
Yeah, my sister is one of those people. She's 13 years older than me, and I'm like, damn it, I think I've surpassed you like, in the way we look. I'm like, damn, she's got 5 kids. I'm like, this is not fair.
Another one that's actually aged really well overall, Michael Keaton.
Yeah, he
like,
has.
Like, if you look at him in, like, say, Beetlejuice, and then look at him in, say, Spider-Man Homecoming, yeah, he's obviously aged, but he's aged well.
Yeah.
Or Birdman. Although he was portraying a Broadway actor / producer, director that was already kind of, like, losing his stuff. But
I think they had to actually artificially age him for The Founder, because after The Founder came Spider-Man. I was like, wait a minute, he looked a hell of a lot older in The Founder.
Being involved in drama and stage plays and stuff like that, you can make people look at a distance, or even on camera, you can make them look a lot older with a lot of makeup than you can make them look younger in most cases. Like,
right, it's easier to age than it is to take away age.
Oh yeah.
I was watching a movie recently, and it's an older movie, and I was like, oh man, like, they need to, like, update some contracts to be like, if you're gonna show my face in 4D or 4K or whatever, can you please airbrush my shit? Because, like, back then they looked pristine, but you can see every texture on their face. You're like, ooh, puberty wasn't great for you, was it?
One actress that is actually so super painful for me is Scarlett Johansson.
Oh yeah,
like, she's beautiful, but she is an avid chain smoker. Like, it's her hobby. She loves to smoke. And if you see her in 4K and, like, Black Widow, ooh, man, you can see that her face is turning leathery.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
So you're saying I should look at her to see what I'm going to look like on 4K?
She's younger than you, though.
So I might already be there.
No, okay. She's aging fast, unfortunately, and it's sad, but that's what happens when you chain smoke. It kills the collagen.
Yeah. Sorry, my dog is being pestery right now.
All right, C, have you seen The Island?
I don't think so. What's it about?
So, the premise of the movie is that the Earth had been pretty much, by pollution and all that, and global warming, whatever. And people lived in these colonies where they were basically every aspect of their diet and their health and everything was monitored to the nth degree. And then there was a lottery that would happen to take people to the island to help to rehabilitate the Earth and repopulate the Earth. It's the last pristine place on Earth, and they're trying to expand it.
You get promoted to the island.
Yeah, you get to go to the island. Now, if that doesn't ring a bell, then you haven't seen it, and no spoilers.
No spoilers.
I will see if it's on Netflix so we can watch it on Rave together.
Okay.
But you have to have a Netflix
account. I have not
account.
seen it.
It's probably Bill Gates' favorite movie of all time. I'm just going to say that out loud. He's like, you know what would be great?
Fuck!
We should make the island, the actual island.
Wow, no chill.
Sorry. My bad.
We rarely have any chill.
Yeah.
Okay, so I thought of the thing that I saw on TikTok, bringing it up to C because, age difference. Something that a young person will never understand is we used to have 250 hours of internet sent to us in the mail on a CD.
AOL.
Yep. And you would have so many fucking AOL CDs that you could go ahead and tile your bathroom disco style because you'd have so many of them.
Yeah, but it's only good if you've never done it before. It's like, damn it.
I made plate mail out of like AOL CDs. So, I mean, it was like junky plate mail, and I would never trust my life with it. But at the same time, it was hilarious, and it was very colorful.
Yeah,
I will say that it was the best part about it is if I could like attribute like a D&D attribute to it, it would be like distraction or reflection or something like. Something ridiculous. It's like, oh, you're blinding light.
I was just going to say, the one that I would give it is a chance of blind every round.
Yeah.
Because as you move, all it has to do is just or if there's someone casting a light spell, just reflects it right back straight to the eyes. It's No, the best thing I ever did with AOL CDs is I put a bunch on a spindle, and then I put it in the microwave for 15 seconds.
Oh, that must have been awesome because
my God, it was amazing.
Do not try this at home, people. But
Porch Drunkies does not condone anything that Thomas is about to say. Thank you.
Yes. And my mental does not condone anything that Thomas is about to say.
It interacts with the foil that's on the CDs, and it causes a rather fascinating light show.
It looks like lightning dancing across the discs, and when you have them stacked, it goes through the discs.
Yeah.
Does it arc top of it?
It arcs
yeah.
through it.
Oh, it arcs through it.
Yep.
It burns through the plastic and actually like starts.
Does it destroy your microwave, or is it not enough metal to do that?
If you run it long enough, it might.
Yeah. Again, we don't condone.
Yeah. Basically,
what we're saying right now.
Yeah, it is very dangerous, and yeah, that was me being young and stupid. The only difference between me now and then is I'm not young.
We did all those things so we could like survive. Like we survived.
You see, we are why there's warning labels on everything.
No, because we survived.
Yeah, we survived and went, you know what? That was stupid. We should put a warning label on that. Although I'm really wondering who in the hell is the cause of the industrial machinery don't put your dick in the gears warning. Like seriously.
Some brave soul.
Exactly.
Or a chainsaw, do not stop with hands or genitals.
Right.
Did somebody have that idea? Please tell me somebody didn't have that idea.
You know, these warnings are reactionary. They're not proactive.
How about don't do stupid shit?
I love that.
Yeah, don't stop the fan with your tongue. Why not?
Like they said, in the 70s, a car's manual would tell you how to adjust the valve timing. These days, the car's manual tells you not to drink the contents of the battery. I'm like, what?
Oh, it's like the people that were all about that Tide Pod challenge. Don't tell them that the radiator's filled with Gatorade.
Right.
It's not Gatorade, it's antifreeze, and it will destroy your kidneys, and you will die a very miserable death.
Yeah.
However...
Smells like pancake breakfast. Don't consume it.
However, when it does vaporize and you inhale it, it might cause you to get a little bit of a high due to oxygen displacement, but it is non-lethal.
Oof.
I know this firsthand
Don't
because...
give people ideas. Don't get people
No,
ideas.
it's really not worth it because the headache you get is unbelievable. And, you know, they did a test on this with prisoners without their consent.
Oh, that's not good.
No.
Wow.
That's a crime against humanity. Let's stop doing that, folks.
I actually have. Now, I personally, this is not necessarily the stance of the show, but this is me personally, I don't mind testing on pedophiles.
I agree. Here's the thing.
Basically, pedophiles are the most hated on the planet, so.
I agree completely, and
You chose to touch a child, you chose to be tested on.
yeah. Yes, I agree. Never mind, I'm not going there right now.
I think I might need a little sober juice.
Drink some tea.
No, Stoke
like
cold
coffee.
brew coffee.
Yep.
Nice.
Unsweetened black. Bold and smooth, and it is my favorite.
I recognize the label, but I did not recognize the color of the label as the type that you drank. Yeah. Oh, it's green. All right.
Yeah. The green's my favorite. The gold's okay. I can't do the sweetened stuff because of my diabetic ass. I mean, I know you're what? You're type 1, right?
Correct.
I'm type 2.
I don't.
I'm not actually type 2. I'm actually monogenomic diabetes.
Does that mean you're type 1 and type 2?
No, it's a different type altogether.
What is it?
There's not even a type number listed for it. Basically, it is a gift I got from my Cherokee heritage. It is that my pancreas worked normally up until puberty. When I hit puberty, my pancreas went, fuck adjusting the amount of insulin that we produce. We're just going to trickle the same amount 24/7, 365 for the rest of your fucking life.
So you have like really lows too, huh? If you're
I
not
have
eating.
really highs and really lows, so I have to be careful what I eat, and I really have to keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
So like if I have like a lot of sugary, carb heavy foods, then I really need to focus on proteins and fiber afterwards in order to counterbalance it. So I'm always like either my blood sugars are too high or my blood sugars are too low. Now, my body is literally designed for intermittent fasting.
Yeah. Mine is too.
So I should probably start doing it.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Have you ever done a keto diet? I'm like just going to go into this because that's how we kind of got Thomas into his like plateau with his A1C to make it not so deadly after he got diagnosed.
I was like, what, A1C, like 12?
12.9.
12.9.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. He was in ketoacidosis. He almost died.
Yeah. No, I have been advised not to do the keto diet because monogenomic diabetes doesn't play nicely with it.
Interesting.
Like if I do try the keto diet, I risk going into ketoacidosis, even though it shouldn't. Or I wind up risking hypoglycemia.
Okay. Interesting.
Kat's trying to say that I made up stuff about that. No, I did not.
Nope, I just looked it up.
Monogenomic diabetes, it's a real thing.
She's like, stop making up words, Eve.
I forgot. I forgot exactly which form of it is because there's like 30 or 40 different forms or some shit like that. It's crazy.
Yeah. Like, you made up that whatever you said about diabetes.
Well, and the weird thing is like, so in most cases, like type 1 diabetes, like it exhibits itself like early on in childhood or like early adulthood or something of that nature. And you usually have like family history and all of that stuff that's like applied to it. Me, it was, a week before my 39th birthday?
It was 2 weeks before.
2 weeks before. When you're in your 40s, once you hit 40, you're supposed to be like pretty much in the clear. So I missed it by a year and 2 weeks, and it's bullshit. And I was just like, what? Are you fucking kidding me?
I had been telling him that I felt like he had diabetes for months before he even started going into ketoacidosis.
He's like, no, you're making it up. No,
I'm just tired.
yeah.
No, you're dying.
Like, why is it so hot in here? It's 68 degrees.
It was not the sweating or anything like that. He was labored breathing. He could not eat anything. He was puking everything he ate.
Dude, you were
he was
in bad shape.
Pissing ammonia. Like, he had been pissing ammonia for like 2 months, and I was like,
it's not 2 months. Your concept of time is not correct.
No, because I had told you like 2 months before the candy incident that like, hey, I think that you might need to be checked for diabetes. That's why they checked you so many times before that 2 months. Like, they're like, no, you're fine.
Yeah, it was always like, I just woke up, hadn't eaten anything, and my blood sugar was like within tolerance, and it was like,
yeah, they're like, come in, we'll give you some fasting blood sugar test tomorrow. It's like, I don't think that's helping.
No. I couldn't see. Like, I woke up and I day I couldn't see in the distance. I couldn't see in the distance anything that was going on, like details and stuff. Like, I could tell, but it was like a blur. And then up close, and then about a week later, I think it was like the next week, like, I had to ask my son to read a label on a box because I couldn't read the writing on it. I was just like, I need you to tell me what that says because I can't read it. And he was just like, it says this. And I'm like, thank you. I'm cooking dinner now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fucking hell, man.
It was the last 2 weeks before I was hospitalized. When I drove myself to the emergency room, and the people that were in the room, they were like, you drove yourself here? I was like, yeah. I needed to get here.
Like a dick because I'm like, okay, you all of a sudden you need to go to the hospital. I was like, I have to go to work, babe. I'm sorry about it. So I was like, can you drive? He was like, yes, I can drive. I was like, if not, I can like call in. And he's like, no, I'm fine.
Could have called 911. I can't see enough to get to the hospital. I might be dying.
No, at that point I could see.
Yeah.
At that point I could see. It fluctuated so much that like I could see at that point. So I was like, no, I'm gonna drive myself to the hospital. Screw it.
Yeah.
You know.
He just felt funny. He's like, I just feel weird.
I just feel weird and I can't eat anything without getting sick. So, well, yeah, that's probably a good idea for me.
And I screamed at him the day before. I felt really bad. I was like, okay, either you have diabetes or you have cancer. Let's pray for diabetes. I was like, because you're dying one way or the other. Like, I don't know what's happening. Because I kept saying you have diabetes. And he's like, I don't have diabetes. My doctor says. And I'm like, then it's cancer. Like, there's got to be something wrong with you. Like, they're not doing any other tests other than the ones you're asking for. Like, something is wrong.
Okay, so key word here, if your doctor's not figuring it out and you swear up and down it's diabetes, endocrinologist.
They will not give you an endocrinologist if you don't have, like, an anti, like, a whatever it's
diagnosis.
Called. A diagnosis. And that was...
That's why I always get... That's why I always get the plants that are not HMOs, what's the PPPs, whatever.
Kaiser.
Yeah. I've never had Kaiser. I don't want Kaiser. Nope. From what I've heard, I mean, I've heard they've gotten better. I know that there's several ways to go. I know working for Kaiser, best place to work.
Like 90% of my friends work for Kaiser, so I'm not like talking about Kaiser being a shithole or whatever. I'm just saying that Thomas loves it because it's a one-stop shop. Oh, I just go to one place, and I was like, to die because they're not doing anything for your health. Like, what is happening? But
when my mom was
right, like always.
Go for it, C.
So go ahead, C.
When my mom was pregnant with me, Kaiser said I was a cyst.
Really?
Is that why you go by the letter C?
No. They said I would go away, but here I am.
My God! You know, that might explain some things, though. I love you, C. I'm a little...
No.
I got a buzz.
C, you're amazing. I'm sorry that was put into your existence in any way. I'm sorry that you ever heard that story.
I almost I almost died, and I almost took my mom with me before I was born. So yeah.
Oh no, really?
Yeah.
Were you breech baby?
No, placenta previa back in the 70s.
Oof.
Yeah, and you want to know how backwoods the hospital was that my parents went to? Guess what they used to try to stop contractions? You're about to feel like you got thrown back into the 50s here.
What?
An alcohol drip.
Oh my god.
Yeah, my mom went through 2 liters of alcohol where they would turn it down when she would pass out, and then they would turn it up when she would gain consciousness again. And
Christ.
yeah, and
and then we bloodletted her to make her.
no kidding.
Get the evil demons out of her blood.
Right? Well, and then my dad's like, called the doctor, but their doctor, this was like 5 weeks or 6 weeks before I was due. So the doctor took a vacation going, well, when I get back from vacation, then it'll be time for him to be due. I'm safe to go ahead and go on vacation at this point. So the doctor that was covering came into the ER, took one look at my mom, took one look at the chart and said, you need a life flight hit the mother to this other hospital immediately. And they went, you're not the doctor. You don't get to make that call. And this doctor had an absolutely brilliant reply. Okay, then. When him, pointing to my dad, when his wife and his child die on your ER table and you didn't make that call, you get to deal with him.
Yeah. Yes.
Helicopter was there real quick.
I bet.
Kat said, don't forget the leeches.
Oh, Kat. I
Yeah,
love
Kat
you.
was also sharing
Say
about
that
how...
out loud. Hi, I'm Megan. I love you.
Kat was also sharing about how her sister died from diabetes at the age of 27. Just absolutely refused to go to the doctors.
Yeah.
And that her chugging orange juice in the middle of the night was the only thing that kept her alive.
Wow.
Yeah. But we went to I got up to that hospital, or my mom did, and they were able to stop the contractions. Mm-hmm. Of course, I kept trying to be born, apparently. And to do so would be
Little shit, weren't ya? Weird.
amazing.
Where'd that come from?
Well, I was due on my dad's birthday. Apparently, I said, fuck that, I want my own.
Right?
So I came out a month early. A month and 3 days. Well, a little bit less than that because February only has 28 days. So, yeah. But I came out in early February. Yeah, and I had to go into an incubator for a little while in the NICU because I came out jaundiced.
Yeah.
So I had to go into the bilirubin lights, and after that, I was allowed to go home with my mom, and things were good. And here I am now, 6'1", 240 pounds. So don't let anybody ever tell you that being preemie means you're going to be a runt. That's
right.
bullshit.
I was 4 pounds 11 ounces when I was born. And,
I was 5 pounds
definitely
3
a little
ounces.
bigger than that now. How much?
5 pounds 3 ounces.
Man.
Now I do have strabismus, and that could very well be because I was preemie.
Right. You never had any lung issues or anything. You're probably past any lung issues, huh?
No, I was fine. Apparently, I came out screaming. So yeah, and nothing's changed. It's like I came
with that tradition.
I came into this world naked, covered in someone else's blood, and screaming, and I intend on leaving that way.
Wow.
Great.
I know there's going to be a made-for-TV movie for that.
I know.
It's going to be
Only
awesome.
gonna be a lifetime.
So I'll let you know if I get anything from anybody, like a TV producer or whatnot. E@amimental.net. Yeah, Kat was saying, yeah, I want it out.
You want it out?
And she gave you the little smiley face with hearts when you said that you loved her.
Oh. Damn it. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Quit knocking around your microphone. Jesus.
Sorry. I was doing heart hands, but yeah.
No video.
I was gonna say, I'm like, nobody else can see us. This is so different. I will have to say, like the contrast between the podcasts that we do and the podcasts that you do, it's like you interact. We usually have the people like sitting right in front of us.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so different because I'm like, I forget that there's a camera. Like everybody else can see it that's in here, in this room and everything. But like nobody else can see it. And I get self-conscious because working at work, I mean, it's a corporate environment, of course. And like cameras are a thing. And it's like,
you know what else is a thing?
What?
Sticky notes over cameras.
True. But
corporate America frowns on that, though.
Yeah.
I don't give up.
It was like 6 months, and they're like, we really would like to see everyone's face because we have to remember that we're dealing with people. And it's not just a voice on the other end, because a lot of people are dicks on the phone to people, and we don't want to like perpetuate that in our meetings. And I was like,
Jeez.
It's just, well, you could just see me being a dick to you then. Like, there's no change.
There was one great Zoom meeting video thing. That's by the way, Bexy's in the chat now. I told you that she couldn't stay away. Love you, Bexy. Anyway, so it showed the 9 panel for Zoom, and the person in the middle, they were clearly supposed to, they had the virtual background, and it was kind of obvious it was their own like living room. But then all of a sudden they're like bouncing around side to side, their hair's going straight back, and then all of a sudden you see the splash of water, and they're like, hands up. It's like they're on a fucking roller coaster while trying to pretend to be in a meeting at their house.
Somebody did that while they were recording themselves on a motorcycle, like doing jumps and stuff, and they had like a green sheet like put behind them so it would show like the background, and you're just like
one of the ones I saw that was absolutely brilliant is you actually do a recording of yourself looking in the camera and kind of looking around for like an hour, and then just put that on loop as a video on your phone and put the phone in front of the camera so they can only see your face sitting there for that hour loop.
I took a picture of my background, like the room behind me, and like with me in the camera shot, like I had Thomas screenshot it and send it to me, and I had that as my video the entire time, so it just looked like it was frozen.
That's
so
awesome.
I was talking, and I was like, man, I should have like made it so it was just the background, so I could just shut my camera off and I disappear, like magic tricks.
Yeah, Eric Cartman, I think, like had a thing like that during one of the recent episodes. He was just like, I can't wait to be a skit.
He did not want to go back to school because he just wanted to like lay around all day.
But ma'am,
you over here and me over here.
Ma'am, Kitty's being a dildo again. I know one kitty who's sleeping with mommy tonight. What? Pilot episode. Holy shit, guys.
Man, and it's the funniest thing to me because they've gone through like since what, like 96 all the way to 2021, and like they have countries that have boycotted them, like whole like the presidents of like Korea, they're like, fuck these guys, right? But they're still on the air, and I'm like, how, like what kind of power do these people have in whatever world? Like, this is crazy.
They have a contract with Comedy Central. It's pretty much self-explanatory.
Comedy Central's like, yeah, we can't get rid of them. This is like our meal ticket.
Yeah.
Well, as long as stupidity happens in the world, there's a material for South Park.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
Yep.
And guess what? The world is stupid.
They'll make fun of everyone and anyone.
And that's
so offended all the time.
All the time.
Anybody who grew up with South Park, like, I mean, really?
yeah. You have no excuse for being offended.
Seriously.
Like South Park, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, they had an episode where they were like basically saying like, "Oh, you're offended." Like it was just like the super
woke episode, pretty much. Like I'm offended. Like I'm offended.
It was a PC Principal that started it, I think, if I remember correctly. And then if you've ever played the games like South Park: The Stick of Truth or
such a great game,
Fractured
Butthole,
The Fractured Butthole.
that is such a funny ass name. Like seriously,
Have you played that game?
I haven't. I need it.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I heard that it is way better than Stick of Truth.
Stick of Truth was like the test bed for like how far can we take a video game?
Well,
knowing that we're South Park.
Well, they even said it wasn't until about 2/3 of the way through Stick of Truth that they finally figured it out and got their groove. So like 2/3 of that game was them just figuring it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty much players too. Like 2/3 of the game, I was trying to figure out what the fuck I was doing and how do I do things.
The most fucked up thing they did on Stick of Truth was when you had, God damn it, what was it? Jimmy, and you were trying to get the magic flute, and it acts like you're like, I want to skip. Did it just fucking freeze on me?
I don't remember
Motherfucker, I think the game froze on me. And then you go up and hit the power button and it advances right as your game turns off. You're like, motherfuckers!
No, the fractured butthole was worse.
NSFW.
Way more than that.
Oh,
I loved watching it.
I mean, my God. I mean, with Stick of Truth, having to dodge the dad's nutsack. I mean, come on. Having to fight... Yeah, fighting Khloe Kardashian's abortion.
There are scenes and levels in that game that I'm like, wow. Just I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it or played it or whatever, but it's just like
I should be able to get it for cheap now. It's been out for years.
I got it pretty cheap. It was, I think, if I remember correctly, I got it for a digital, like, I mean, having a membership and stuff like that to Xbox, like, Ultimate Game Pass and, like, the whole thing and all of that other stuff is, like, pretty good because then you get discounts on games that aren't on the Game Pass, but you can. By the way, we're not sponsored by Microsoft or Game Pass.
Not sponsored.
No. Meanwhile, I'm a big PlayStation fan myself, but not sponsored.
But we're welcome to it. AmImental.net.
No, seriously. Except that I will go ahead and advertise on the website, but I will not do it during a podcast.
Yeah. That's very noble of you. That's awesome.
Now, I have other podcast ideas where, doing an advertisement doesn't matter because it's more of a comedy style that I want to do.
Right.
Right.
Just trying to convince my wife to let me do another podcast. That's just not going very well.
Oh, no.
It takes time. It takes effort. There's a lot of admin and hardware support and like everything. You do IT in your normal job. You don't want to do IT like on your off time most of the time.
No, definitely not.
Yeah,
I don't even like building my own computers anymore. I'm just so fucking burnt out on IT.
Yeah, I stopped building computers years ago. But, I mean, running a podcast is like a little bit different, like as far as the experiences.
It was a new challenge.
Yeah, the experiences that we stumbled our way through it, like as you have mentioned, actually in our pre-show. Yeah, you mentioned it in our pre-show. We
popped his cherry. We popped his cherry.
Yeah,
yeah, you did. You popped my pod cherry.
Yeah, but when E was like visiting us and like was on our show, we had a single. It was an HTC M81. In the center of a backyard table on like not paper towels. It was like a towel underneath it to like reduce the vibrations, but it was an omnidirectional mic, so it picked up everything around us. Yep. Now we have unidirectional mics. Well, I mean from our perspective, it's like we've graduated from that, and it's just like it's so much different now because now it's like now I can get really close to the mic and be like, welcome to the podcast.
And now you can do the Crash Test Dummies song, where you couldn't before. It wouldn't have picked it up.
I don't know if I want to strain my voice to that point.
You weren't feeling very good on Tuesday, so don't.
Just do one.
It sounds much better in karaoke, just saying.
It does.
That I definitely miss.
Oh my God, I miss it so much that I'm almost willing to go to the bar right around the corner from me that I think is an absolute shithole that I don't like going to, but they have karaoke.
Yeah. I would agree with your assessment. Just saying. Just saying.
It was basically designed by someone that has no fucking clue what feedback is and how to avoid it.
Yeah.
Acoustics.
Yeah, basically everywhere you go, you're next to a fucking speaker. So you have like this little tiny area that you have to hold the microphone.
I just cover it with my hand. That's usually
it
what
helps
I do.
a lot.
That's my go-to thing is like, because I'm used to going to that location.
Well, I mean,
as well as I've been into other situations where I'm standing in front of like a speaker bank, and why did you set these up right on stage? Like, can you distribute these? And I'm not trying to shit on everybody else's like audio technical engineering stuff and like their placements and stuff like that. I'm not trying to shit on that. They are trying, right? We didn't know what we were doing when we first started the podcast. We had a phone and like an intent, and that was it.
I want to say something.
Right.
I don't want to shit on this. I just think you don't have it.
Me?
No, I don't want to shit on your audio technical expertise. I just think you don't have it.
But yeah, so I mean, E was there. Oh, now I hit the mic. E was there at the very beginning when we had like zero clue what we were doing, and we were just doing it for fun, and we're still just doing it for fun. But at the same time, we've like stepped up our game, and we're like, you know what? We want to at least be able to have people hear what we're saying, be able to interact with what we're doing, and being able to like understand like where we're coming from, and just have a good time.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, just have a good time, because that's what we're doing from a podcasting perspective, and this is our show, not Am I Mental. Am I Mental has a very good goal, right? It's a goal to highlight like
mental health.
Yeah,
right.
thank you.
I mean, the goal is twofold. One is to help to remove the stigma, and the other is to let others know that you're not alone.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that is a virtuous like position, because like a lot of people that I've experienced, like I used to be a peer counselor when I was younger, and it was like the experience that they had was that like they were alone and they had nobody else. Then again, generational thing, we all kind of grew up like, hey, you have to rely on yourself, you have to fix your own problems, you have to do all this other stuff. And from a generational aspect,
I would say that the late Gen X, like myself, and the early millennials were caught in the middle of the classic way of thinking of, we don't talk about mental health, you just work your way through it.
Yeah,
versus also the other half, which is, this is actually a problem and maybe we should start talking about it. So like we were kind of on that cusp. And I went with this therapy thing seems to work, so maybe I'm going to go that way. And it's obviously now where things are, it's so different now. The world is so much different now. And I'm glad that it's going more on the mental health is health direction.
Yeah.
I agree that going the direction where mental health and mental health in general is a supportive thing. I agree with that. I just don't want us to. We have a habit as a human race and as a society to go from one extreme to another.
And we don't talk about it, and now that's the only thing we can't talk about.
Right, but that's the part that I have concerns about, is that now it's all about that, and it's just like,
right,
that's not always the answer. That's not always the reason. That's pointing out like random things or things that impacted you aren't always the total reason. There may be underlying things to that.
Yeah. It's
not always based on outside stimulus. And sometimes it's actually how you have developed internally and how you've developed as a person.
Yeah.
And sometimes it really is, you know what? Just suck it up.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to embrace the suck. It's just the way life is.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to shit on anyone, but there are sometimes it's like, look, if you're going to overdo it, as you were saying, and I'm not trying to shit on anyone.
To another.
Yeah, if you're doing the extreme where everything is a mental health issue, not everything is a mental health issue. Some things are just tough.
Yep.
That was one of the reasons. Thank you. That actually brings it full circle as well. In the context in which Megan was saying, like, maybe that's just how it is, and maybe that's just reality, and blah, blah, blah. that was the context in which I was stating that.
Yeah.
Like, that's my concern, is that we are going from one extreme to another. And that is, like, I don't know if you guys can hear the motorcycles and stuff.
I heard it.
This is usual Porch Drunkie ambiance, just saying.
Yeah, it's not as bad as it was during the pre-show when you were using the omnidirectional mics. Omnidirectional mics, yeah.
Now we have our equipment.
Yeah, I'm going to say one thing. Kat threw out, not everyone gets first place. That's what I was aiming for.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just don't want us to swing from one extreme to another. I think we, as a society, as a human race in general, I think we need to adopt the things that work, discard the things that don't work, and just meet in the middle and find that common ground. And then once we find that common ground, continue to improve as a human race forward, regardless of where you fall in that. Like, I am concerned about us going to that extreme, and then I don't want thought police to start happening.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as
It's
you like,
already happening.
I know, and that's part of what's leading into my concern, and it's just like,
Right.
no,
Like, I don't mind.
it's not a thing.
And as you're saying, the one thing, though, is that in order to know what works, you kind of have to go from one extreme to the other, and then, like a pendulum does, it swings one side, it swings to the other, and then it slowly but surely settles in the middle.
Yeah.
But we can't have the punitive side of things when we're trying to figure it out.
I agree that a pendulum in general does swing from one side to the other, but controlled and calculated thinking, right? You don't have to let it get to that point. You can recognize it before it comes to that point.
Agreed.
And be able to mitigate that, right?
Agreed.
You don't just let it just swing to the opposite side and be all like,
as far as it will go.
I want to see how far this goes.
Right.
And then the next thing you know, like 70 million people are fucking dead from some random shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
right.
that's an extreme. I am using an extreme example with no context or no founding. But I just, that is one of those concerns that I have of like, okay, we were way extreme one side back in the day, and it was just like, fuck it, you're this, so deal with it.
Well, part of the problem, I think, is what's happening is that logic and rational thinking had been pounded so hard for so long, and fuck your emotions, that this is the natural backlash, where it's all about the emotions and fuck logic and reasoning. Which, okay, it's a natural thing. I don't like it. It was absolutely wrong to say fuck your feelings. We are emotional beings.
Yeah.
But we are also logical and rational beings. So why are we not doing both?
Right.
Well, and finding that happy balance and not just like agreeing with the extreme side, right?
Right.
There was a woman that we had hired a couple years ago. She was in her 50s. She was happy-go-lucky, all the great things. We had a very procedural job. Like, you do your job, this is how you do the job right, and you're going to be fine, you know? And she wasn't doing the job right. She wasn't picking up the job. She was there for like 6 months, 8 months, a year, somewhere around there. And I was the team leader at the time, so I had to go to my boss and be like, okay, so we have like this impact to the company, and it's this much money because she just didn't follow the procedure. You know, it's not that she's stupid. It's just that she doesn't, like, she's not picking up on what we do. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so she got like written up, and she got written up another time after doing the thing, and then she went out on stress leave because she was not doing she wasn't capable of doing the job, right? And
admittedly, that is stressful.
That is stressful, yes. But she had a doctor write her a note that said that that her accommodation for her anxiety disorder was to not have any more disciplinary action at the job. And that went to HR, and it was approved. And I'm like,
then what the fuck?
I'm like, oh, is it that easy? Like, oh, me too. Like, oh,
right? Hey, can I get a doctor to do that for me too, please?
My accommodation is I want a $60,000 a year raise, and you have to do it because this job is stressful. Like, can I? Is that a thing? Can I?
Can I get the doctor to write a note that says I have to sit on your payroll, but I don't expect me to actually do the work?
Yeah,
That's actually happened.
Yes, it has, and that's the issue. Is
not
that,
necessarily with our company,
Right.
but I'm saying, like, I've heard examples from professionals that have conveyed that exact situation, that exact scenario of like, I'm not going to do my job, but you're going to pay me. You're going to continue to pay me until I decide not to do this job anymore, until I quit.
Yeah, and if you fire me, I'm just going to take unemployment, and there's like, if you want to sue me for it, we can go to court. But that's the thing that it's like, especially with all of these laws that are written around, mental health and like disabilities. Even it doesn't even have to be a mental health disability. It's like at what point are you can you look at that person and say you are abusing the system that was put in place for a good reason? Like, there is a reason that certain people cannot work due to anxiety, or like they can go out on leave because of their anxiety, or because of they have a dissociative disorder or bipolar disorder, and that's in their chart as this is actually there. It wasn't created because they suck at their job, and then it's almost like the Hegelian dialect of like that person's I can abuse this system. Like, hey, let me create the issue, let me tell you what needs to be done, and let me get away with it. Like, what? I don't understand.
Hegelian dialect is become such a common thing that if you're not aware of what it is, you'll fall into it and you'll be like, wait, something's wrong here. What the hell did I miss?
Fauci's Hegelian dialect over the last year and a half. I'm like, oh, this bastard, of course.
Now, there was one thing that Bexy did say earlier on that we just kind of got distracted from. It was a very valid point, is if everything becomes a mental health issue, then nothing is a mental health issue.
Exactly. That's just the way things are, right? Like, that's no longer protected. It's like, well, everyone has a problem, There's a lot of people that think that them not being able to focus because they're bored is ADHD, and I'm like, that's not what that is. Like, I see so many, like, if you do these things, you probably have ADHD.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, no, TikTok doctor, you cannot. It's not even a doctor; it's a person like that says, "Oh, you have adult ADHD."
It's usually a life coach,
right? And have you ever noticed that the life coaches are the ones who are the most fucked up?
Right.
I don't think I've ever run into a life coach that actually had a good, solid, stable life. Just saying.
Well, it's the same thing with therapists, though. Like, the majority of therapists go to therapists, right? But it's like...
But, I mean, and that's fine. The problem is that a lot of the therapists out there are more fucked up than their patients.
I know.
I've run into some that I'm like, holy shit, you're off your rocker.
So, it's fascinating because... So, I mentioned that I was a peer counselor when I was younger. I took training. I got certified and the whole thing. But it's funny because prior to that, my experience in an earlier educational situation, I went to a school that was, I don't know if this was the official label, but it was like the label that we were told was SED. And you look confused on that one. By the way, Eric, E.
It happened.
Oh, where's the bell ringer?
Guest drops others.
It wasn't me.
I know.
Now we gotta add it to the name dropped list.
Yes, it's gotten added to the name drop list.
Damn it. Yeah. So the school, it was a continuation school. Technically, a continuation school. What's funny
Serious emotional disturbance.
Seriously emotionally disturbed.
Yep.
We had timeout rooms that were boarded in plywood, so if you punched them and stuff, you couldn't get through it. We had varying levels of permissions depending upon how you. We had our own pharmacist on site and medical doctor that was basically like the prescriber of medications. We had therapists all throughout our school and everything. It's funny because I'm
gonna say this out loud. Thomas went to Shutter Island Technical Institute.
I mean, really, if you get down to it.
And this is in the 90s, by the way. This was not like in the 50s.
No, this was this was earlier than the 90s because this was prior to high school and junior high and everything. But, junior high.
So
Junior high. What's funny though is that my sister also went to the same school, and my teachers knew who she was, but I think I turned out okay. Even going through that experience, like, I think I came out as a more well-rounded, because I understood, even going through that experience, like, I understood what was going on, and what I did play the system a little bit, because I saw, it's like, oh, I see these rules are in place, so as long as I do these rules, then I don't get in trouble, and I get better privileges. I can leave campus on occasion if I want to, and stuff like that. But I was aware of those. I was aware of that construct, and I was aware that it was not necessarily a game to be played, but at the same time, it kind of was. It was like, I also played role-playing games religiously.
Woohoo!
So, yeah, we did 5th edition D&D during lunch all the time.
5th edition.
AOL.
5th edition.
5th edition just came out a while ago. 2nd edition was back then.
Sorry, 3rd edition.
Because I played 2nd edition throughout all of high school. I played the D6 version of Star Wars. I played Rifts. I played the D10 version of all the White Wolf games.
You know, you just mentioned so many role-playing games that I used to play, and I still have the books for. Rifts was a big one. White Wolf. I did LARPing, so yeah. I didn't LARP,
but I did do Boffer Wars.
Yeah.
What is a Boffer War?
You take PVC pipe and you cushion it and then wrap it up in duct tape and make it in the shapes of weapons, and you just go out and beat the shit out of each other.
That sounds really familiar to what we used to do back in the day, when my friend Roy actually got his ear like half cut off by accident, because the impact was, well, we played right across the street from Kaiser. So
didn't have to go far.
Well, and we had agreements, like, along with every other. So coordinating, I had 60 players in a LARP campaign in one of the towns that I was running and everything, and we had agreements with, like, not to get all geeky and stuff, but it was a lot to handle, as far as, like, I was in high school at that time still, but a lot of the games that you named, it was just like, I know I'm jumping all over the place as far as subjects go, but I lost my train of thought. Gosh darn it.
You were talking about, you said one of your friends almost lost an ear.
Oh no, half of his ear got chopped. It was basically like hanging on a thread, and we had to take him across the street. We had already done the paperwork with the local police department, making sure that they knew who we were, what we were representing, and what we were doing, and making sure that we had medical staff, like certified medical staff on hand at the time. We were also involved in the SCA.
I was just going to say,
yeah,
ass in the air, balls against the wall. If you can't get laid in the SCA, you can't get laid at all.
Yeah, I was dating royalty at one point, and it was hilarious. It was that's a fascinating experience right there. Yeah, that was a fascinating experience, but I don't know where. Ultimately, after getting off on the gaming route of things, it's like I've been through a lot of mental health through my life, right? It started when I was really young, because it was state mandated. I mean, my mom was a paranoid schizophrenic. My sister had other issues. And so I was like the other child that was just like, oh, well, we're going to keep an eye on this guy, and we're going to send him to state mandated, like, therapy. And ultimately, I mean, I tried to hit on my therapist at the time. She was a lady, and I was really young and everything, and that didn't work out. And
you were a teenager, aka a ball of hormones and horniness.
No, actually, that was before I was a teenager.
Oh, Jesus!
It started really early, because I was just like, hey.
By the way, Kat used to do SCA.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Please don't be somebody that I know of.
She's like, I was the royalty you dated.
No, because I know exactly who that is. I know exactly who that is. And there is, if she all of a sudden came back into my life, I would be like, hi, how are you doing? I would feel more awkward than probably she would, because I'm like, I don't know what to do with my hands.
Hi, we're in reality now.
No, it wasn't. No, I dated her outside of SCA, but she was royalty in the SCA. Like, I didn't get involved into SCA until we were hitting each other with sticks and all sorts of other shit. But it was full contact, so it hurt a lot. But no, I dated her outside of the SCA. It wasn't like an arranged relationship or anything else like that, or like. Not that actually happens.
I don't think. Does
no,
that happen?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't actually happen. But people who don't know the SCA don't usually. Like,
Kat's saying this sounds really familiar. I'm totally kidding. So Kat said, I was involved for a while, have a registered name and device, and doubt it seriously that you know each other.
Okay.
I just wanted to see the look on your face.
No. Did you have a little sister?
She says, "What county?"
I don't want to put that on blast, so no, I'm good. It was the Bay Area. We'll just put it
Somewhere
that way.
in the Bay Area.
It was the Bay Area. It was the Bay Area. I don't know. Maybe they were lying to me, but it was great. Bloody Toe, like Bloody Toe mead. That was like some of the best mead I had ever tasted in my life, and I was like, I have no clue how they made this, but at the
mead.
Bloody Toe, I've tried it. It's harder than it looks, but Bloody Toe mead.
Mead is supposed to be among the easier of the alcohols to make at home, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's easy to make it taste good.
Yeah,
right.
It didn't turn out the way I was expecting. Like, my expectation was thrashed. It was dragged through the mud because it was horrible when I did try to make mead.
It was just Angry Orchard in a mead jar.
Well, no, I mean, the way that you speed it up is you throw like moonshine, not moonshine, lightning, white lightning.
Oof.
You throw white lightning in it instead of like taking the time to actually make the mead.
So basically, you made kerosene.
Right.
Sweet
kerosene.
Yeah, I didn't. But the Bloody Toe stuff was just the most delicious I ever heard, and I've never seen so many people dance to like the Lost Boys, like "Thou shalt not cry." Cry Little Sister.
Cry Little Sister.
Yeah.
But Kat did say nope for the Bay Area, and I hate beer, but liked a few of the meads I tried.
Isn't mead made from honey?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
And honey can't be fermented, right?
Yes,
honey
it can.
Yes, it can. I mean, if it has sugar, it can be fermented.
That sounds like a challenge for gummy bear
doesn't
mead.
Fermented mean like go bad?
No.
Okay, gummy bear alcohol should be a thing now.
I think
Actually, there was a gay bar downtown in Sacramento that had a drink called the Gummy Bear back in like 2003. And it tasted like a red fucking gummy bear. And
That's amazing.
It had 4 different alcohols in it, and it was like $7 per double, and it fucked you up real good. It was like,
it's yummy.
It was amaretto and Crown Royal and some kind of other thing and a blue thing, and it was amazing.
Of course, every time I hear someone say, talk about a gay bar, all I think it pops in my head is, I want to take you to the gay bar.
Hey, do you remember the 808?
You mean the instrument?
No, the 808. It was the signature drink at the bar that used to karaoke at.
I don't remember the 808. I remember Red Roosters.
The reason why I ask is like it was the most delicious drink, but it would fuck you up. Pretty much like the gummy bear, but it had like 6 or 7 different types of rums as well as pineapple juice, and I can't remember. The bartender told me how to make it one time, but it was the particular place that we originally met at.
The one with the purple walls?
Did it have purple? It was dark in there.
Yeah, it was dark, purple walls. The bathroom was in a weird area, like past the bar. And I stood, and the DJ booth was back at that corner way in the back.
Nostalgia. Good times.
It was a lot of fun. I had really good regulars too, like amazing regulars. You guys, of course, included.
Well, I was just gonna say, I'm like, yeah. I'm like, that's how I know you.
Yeah.
I was there like 3-4 times a week.
This was in the before time of me and Thomas.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that was in the before time.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I was running karaoke there twice a week there, and I was doing karaoke twice a week at their other location that was more out in the sticks.
Yep.
And yes, Kat, the walls were purple. Purple on the top, black on the bottom.
Yep. That's crazy. Now, the Gummy Bear...
I could still smell the place, too. It actually had a very distinct, not disgusting smell that some bars have, that sour smell.
Yeah, it's
this one actually
had fried food.
Yeah, this one actually didn't really have that smell to it.
Yeah.
With a hint of desperation.
Yeah, that would be called Drecoir Noir.
Yeah. Or Axe body spray.
No shit.
Jesus Christ.
You remember when they contracted where that social group, the hookers, got $1 off of all their drinks? And
I think they're called Working Girls.
No. It was that was actually the name of their social group.
No, I
know.
I was just they're called Working Girls. Just throwing that out there.
But and like, holy shit, that bar was packed every night. But they brought a lot of problems with them too.
That was a different reason. So being the bouncer for that place for a little while just showed me kind of like I've already been a bouncer at like strip clubs and a whole bunch of other places. So like I've seen like this.
Fucking huge, dude. Of course you're a bouncer.
About Thomas. Thomas has had every job known to man. Like
No.
at any point in time. He's like,
I have never
was an
been a
electrician.
nuclear physicist.
Have you ever worked at an apiary?
No.
Okay, that's something new.
Yeah. I've been a florist.
He did
been,
nails. He did nails.
I used to do acrylic nails.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of stuff.
This guy is 6'5", just so you know. He's like not like this tiny little guy.
I used to be bigger though before I got diabetes and decided like I'm gonna change my eating style and my lifestyle and everything. Like I used to be close to about 300 pounds.
Right.
But
it wasn't like a fat
He was never
300.
fat. Never
You
fat.
carried it really well.
Yeah.
that's because I wore a lot of black. I was a
Yeah,
goth
black
kid.
is.
I
Black
knew
is
better.
Yeah.
I knew better. I was a goth kid growing up, so I knew black was slimming. Like
Yeah.
regardless of how big I got or how small I got, like black always made me look.
My mom, for years, only bought me black clothes because all I did was wear black. But I always wore black because I had nothing but black clothes. It's kind of funny how that works.
You're perpetuating this cycle, mother.
The only non-black stuff that I wore was 49er stuff. No, Cat, the height did not shrink. I mean, maybe a little bit, but no. He's still, what, you're still 5 or 6'5", right?
6'5", yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I keep saying that I'm shrinking, mostly because I'm hunching over a little bit more because I'm older. But at the same time, like when I stand my full height, I'm still like about 6'5". I'm a good 4 inches taller than my son. And it's funny when he tries to step up to me, like jokingly, of course. When he tries to step up to me jokingly, I'm just like, really? Really? Really want to do this?
And then
All
you stand up tall.
And I stand up all the way. I was like, all right. I can still look down on your forehead.
Yeah. It's like
I'm 5'2.5", and I step to my husband and I'm like, I'll get you in the kidney. I'll bite your ankles.
I'm going to headbutt you in the nuts.
No, that's when I do one of these.
Do the dark helmet thing from Spaceballs.
Yeah. I just put my hand out and grip her head. It was like, go for it. Because my reach is pretty extensive. But
Like I'm 6'1", but my reach when I reach straight up, my fingertip is 8 feet exactly. So I could walk into a house and measure to see if your ceiling's legal or not.
I usually touch every ceiling I go in to a house or anywhere.
I do that all the time too.
I
Now
just do it just because.
I
I'm
can
like,
say that in the evening before I go to bed, I actually do shrink down to about 6 foot and maybe a quarter, 6 foot to a half. Like I'll shrink almost an inch. When I wake up, yeah, I'm definitely 6'1", maybe a little bit more than that.
I hunch a lot.
And yes, Cat, I have ape arms. I barely have to shift to scratch my knees. I have ape arms.
Yeah. I get that. I get that. I get that.
Bexy, he ran into my knife. He ran into my knife 10 times.
Well, it's like when I do my arms outwards, like my reach is more like 6'3", 6'4", with my reach from fingertip to fingertip. So I do have longer arms. Like the average person is a square.
That's disproportionate, though, right? Like,
I'm disproportionate with longer arms.
I have longer legs and arms,
which would make me valuable in like sports, like the NFL and whatnot, because that longer reach, it means something. If you're going to get someone your own height, I have an advantage.
What's fascinating, and I don't know what it is exactly. I don't know. I don't think it's like a disorder or anything, but I'm literally bigger on the left side of my body. Like, sorry, I talk with my hands all the time. Sorry about that. My lips are bigger on the left side. My eye is bigger on the left side. My leg is longer on the left side. I'm taller on the left side, and I have more hair on the left side.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Thomas is tightening my shit because we have a floating testicle when we flip over Thomas when he's gone because his microphone.
I was gonna say it looks more like a black olive hanging there, but yeah, floating testicle. The shape's a little more accurate there.
Thank you.
So Bexy was saying one of my boobs is bigger than the other. Well, that seems to be the norm.
It's my left side. Yes, I'm telling you.
That's the homicidal one. Her boobs have tried to kill her multiple times. Okay, so I did go a little hog wild between my divorce and my remarriage, and I could say that I had not met a single female that I had relations with that had symmetrical boobs. I don't think that's a thing unless they're surgically enhanced.
No, unless gravity's not a thing in your bedroom and you sleep on your back literally all the time. But
well, even then, if you're right-handed, typically your right boob will be a little smaller and a little more firm.
Because it's more muscles on the pectoral side, yeah. But that doesn't make sense why my left side is taller. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
It looks like C's falling asleep.
A little bit.
I'm sorry, C.
No, it's okay. I'm just a little tired.
All good. My God, yeah, this is definitely a Porch Drunkie episode. We have gone everywhere with this conversation.
Yeah.
I warned the listeners, man, once we get started.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bexy, yep, just check. Left's more jiggly.
So, what I was going to say earlier is like, and I'm sorry that I missed the conversation. I was doing technical stuff. And
yeah, we were talking about how boobs are always like lopsided, and typically the smaller, more firmer one is whichever side they prefer. Like if they're right-handed, the right boob's usually a little smaller and a little firmer.
Oh, does that work for testicles too?
I don't think so, unless you're writing with your toes. How does that work?
No, don't check.
I'm checking. You know what? I'm just. Works for me.
One of the things, like, bouncing, right? So one of the things you start to understand is that, like, being my size, right? Being my size, you're usually like the largest target out there. So what you do is you artificially make yourself look a little bit smaller because you're not out there to make a name. You're not out there to do things. You're just basically there to enforce the rules and making sure that people are safe.
Yeah.
And so, like, for
unless your name is Ken Shamrock and you're a bouncer before you became famous,
and you might have a chip on your shoulder at the same time. Just saying.
I had an uncle that they went to the same junior college together, and he was a bouncer at a bar, and he very much had a chip on his shoulder. Asshole bouncer.
See, and that's the thing, though. It's
you shouldn't be the instigator if you're bouncing, right? Like, you should be the one.
Oh, no, he wasn't an instigator, but he made it very clear that he thought he was hot shit. Now, the thing is, he clearly backed it. Because anyone that knows MMA knows Ken Shamrock.
I mean, within reason, but the whole thing is like you're not trying to bring attention to yourself,
Yeah.
right? You're trying to blend in, and
Mhm.
it's really hard for somebody of my stature to blend in around people that are normal size. And I'm like, okay, well, I could try and make myself about maybe an inch, maybe 2 inches shorter if I hunch a little bit more, and I
Lean
keep
against the
hunching and
small.
everything. And then, well, but that was the thing. Like, and it was something that happened during high school as well.
Mhm.
Like when I was a traveler. I traveled throughout many schools in my district because I had friends across many schools in a district, and like I wasn't really supposed to be on campus. And what was funny is the security would usually point me out because I was bigger than any of the other kids that were in there. And so they saw me and they saw my face and they're like, "You don't belong here." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? I'm here meeting my friend. What's
I
happening?"
would just like to say that a picture of Thomas in his yearbook is him wearing a trench coat and carrying a briefcase. So maybe it's not him being tall that makes him not look like he's supposed to be there.
You
Like,
look
he's
I love
like
that.
off guy that like I've definitely not seen you around here before.
it's like you look like someone from the 50s trying to be inconspicuous.
Mind you, it was a leather black trench
Okay,
coat.
Peter Parker, you
So-
can leave now.
No, I grew up. I watched The Crow. Come on.
Fucking
Brandon,
love The
you-
Crow.
Yeah,
Me, yeah.
all goth kids loved it. Duh.
Duh. Yeah.
He's gonna be like the guys in SpongeBob that are trying to sell you something. Selling you around with their briefcase.
Now-
no comment.
Kat did ask about also your slouching. Is it to be less intimidating to women and children? Then she went with Spy versus Spy, which, fuck yes.
That is Thomas to a T, actually. Spy versus Spy with the black hat. That is totally Thomas.
You gotta get the little round black sunglasses too.
I do have an extensive fedora collection. Just,
And actually, one of the masks that we bought so that he can
It's the
supply
Plague
at the
Doctor.
store is the Plague Doctor mask.
I've worn
And I'm
that.
like, dude, you look like Spy versus Spy.
I've worn that Plague Doctor mask to Walmart, to
Winco.
Winco,
Mhm.
to many places, and like people start wanting to get pictures with me because like I don't have my black leather trench coat on. I actually had an Australian oilskin duster, which is even more terrifying actually. Now when you have like the flaps across the shoulders and everything, you're like, I'm like, I was doing it to make a point. I was doing it to make a point because it was ridiculous. To my perspective, it was ridiculous, and I wanted to make a point. I wanted to make a statement, and I was complying with based on what they had. I had already researched the rules. I had researched their regulations, and what they had stated
Covered your nose and
was
mouth.
cover
He's
your
like-
nose and mouth.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, cool. I have a full face mask. There you go.
And he can actually breathe better in that than he can in a fucking face mask.
I also
That's
cut
funny.
bigger holes in the bottom, but because it's like full latex rubber,
Yep.
and it's crazy.
So
Slouching.
what I'm hearing is that you use that mask with your gimp suit. Got it.
Shh, we don't talk about those things on your
No, the
podcast.
gimp suit. The gimp suit is form fitting. An Australian oilskin is not.
No, I was
That is-
talking about the mask.
Oh. No, because the beak gets in the way. It gets... Just saying. Just throwing that out there.
Meanwhile, there are some people that are scrambling for Google. Go, what the fuck's a gimp suit? Yeah, by all means, look for that while you're at work. You won't be working for much longer.
Yeah, don't.
And Google that shit because yeah, definitely.
No, your company probably has some sort of blocker in place to identify like not safe for work content. Just
Yeah,
saying.
and even if you're using DuckDuckGo, that doesn't get around what the
No.
what the company has on the network.
The websites, they're like, no.
Oh goodness.
Okay, so did you ever play the original Nintendo Entertainment System version of Spy vs. Spy?
No,
Yes.
I've never.
Even though I never owned a Nintendo.
Dude. Okay, that's a bonus points there. Because most people had never even knew that there was a Spy vs. Spy game.
I didn't own a Nintendo 8-bit system, but I was old enough and had a job when the Nintendo Super Entertainment System came out, that I bought one for myself.
The
You want a
SNES.
Super Nintendo?
SNES.
SNES. So
SNES.
I was raised with an Atari 2600.
Me too.
I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
All right. What was your favorite game?
Mine was Kangaroo Punch.
That's a
River
good
Raid.
And
Oh,
Pitfall.
that's a good
Pitfall.
one.
Mhm.
Demonic Attack,
River Raid was mine.
followed by Adventure.
Adventure's good. Oh, and Mountain King. Mountain King was like the easiest little game, but it was my favorite game ever.
Did you actually get to play E.T.?
I owned it.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
So did my friend. That's why I'm like.
Now,
I never
did you
owned it.
ever beat E E.T.?
No, because I didn't understand the fucking like they don't have a tutorial, so all I'm doing is like raising my head, lowering my head, raising. I was like, what is happening?
Dying in the fucking hole.
Which is what the actual physical game did.
Yeah. And
Just
then
saying.
Bexy threw out
Please
there a
forget.
Me Too for the Atari 2600, and she threw out Pitfall and Frogger.
Frogger, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, did you ever play Circus with the paddles? Or Warlords? Or Egomania? Those were my 3 favorite paddle games.
Kaboom.
I don't remember Kaboom.
Kaboom.
Yeah, let's say the name again. Like
Oh,
that's
okay,
exactly.
It's like you're. Okay, I'm trying to remember all the premise of it, but it was a 2D multi-platform with criminals and and cops, and you were the criminal, I think, trying to get out of it. I can't remember all of the details. It was ridiculous.
Oh! I
Yeah,
remember this game!
Yeah,
Kaboom.
outside of River Raid, Kaboom
Yeah.
was pretty cool. Burger Time was the other one.
That was Burger Time was a pretty good. Now, another one that was really, really good, Keystone Capers.
Crackpots, yes. I forgot about that game with the spiders and the pots. Crackpots.
Okay,
So-
did you ever play the Indiana Jones game?
Yes.
Fuck tsetse flies. That's all I've got to say.
So I grew up with. So my first console was the Atari 2600, but then I upgraded to a 5200, and that has to be like one of my favorite, like cult classic consoles. The reason being is the paddle, the joystick that they included in it,
Mhm.
had 4 buttons that you could control. It was basically like the predecessor to the PlayStation controller. It had
The
2
side-
buttons on the
side
left,
buttons.
2 buttons on the right, on the sides, right? And then you had the joystick in the center, and then you had 3 dedicated buttons for like start, reset, and then something
And then
else,
the
and then the
number
number
keys.
pad. That some of the games that had that number pad, which there was a space game that had an overlay that you clipped into the little clips, and it told you what those. It basically overlaid the commands and stuff for the. Anyway,
I never played that.
yeah,
All right.
it was. It's. I don't remember, but
I had an uncle that had an Intellivision and a ColecoVision.
oh yeah,
I had ColecoVision.
Commodore 64 is what my aunt had.
My neighbor had a Commodore 64. My parents got me the NES. I bought a SNES on my own. I never did the GameCube.
Played the GameCube. It was good for its graphics and its network compatibility because they were the first console to try multiplayer or networked consoles.
And I was working at an internet provider when the Sega Saturns came out. And man, you talk about a nightmare trying to get those things hooked up to the internet.
You know what's funny? When Sega was stationed in San Francisco, I made it a point to call them up. You could call them up. You can call Sega of San Francisco. You can call them and you could ask them for tips and tricks and like how to beat levels and stuff. And if you ask them, they would actually send you printed out copies of the instructions they were giving you. I had a binder full of instructions on how to beat these Sega games on a regular basis because I used to call them 3 or 4
I'm
times a
stuck. Can
week.
you help me? Yeah, before the internet. Like-
I didn't necessarily want them to tell me how
Yeah.
to like. I didn't want to necessarily have them tell me how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
My goal and purpose for calling them was to have them send me a physical letter in the mail. That's how old I am. Physical letter in the mail of the cheats that they were trying to give to me. And I was like, that's awesome. And I had a binder full of these things.
I had a subscription to Nintendo Power back in the day.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I knew the good games to get, the games to avoid. And if I wanted to, I had complete maps for games so I could go through and get every secret and everything. I was not a big fan of that because it felt too much like cheating. But reading the reviews was definitely worth it. It really helped me to avoid some absolute stinkers of games and find the hidden gems like Bomberman. Holy shit, was I addicted to Bomberman. They have a free version of Bomberman now on the PlayStation, up to 4 players. It is fucking amazing!
Awesome.
The one game that they sent me all the information on, and I didn't necessarily ask them for all of the information, but they knew me at this point.
Yeah.
Like, I had gotten to enough customer service representatives in Sega of America in San Francisco that they knew me by name when I called. And they were like, hey, do you want me to send you the booklet? And I'm like, yeah. Phantasy Star. It had the actual dungeon maps included in their diagrams and their tips and everything. And I was just like, you just gave me the keys to this game. I'm going to be so fucking awesome. And I'm going to show off to all my friends, even though none of them owned a Sega Master System. Mm-hmm. And I'm shit out of luck. Now, one guy in my friend group had a Sega Master System. He was actually an immigrant. Him and his family was an immigrant from India, and they chose to get him a Sega Master System. He and I built such a close bond because he and I were the only people out of everybody else who had a Nintendo system, Nintendo Entertainment System. That had
that, Thomas.
Now,
I know, but I have to clarify.
Now,
but it was the Sega Master System.
So my wife, her favorite game on the Sega Master System was Dream Warriors.
I think I know that game.
I actually went ahead and got an emulator for the Master System for our computer, and I went online and I actually purchased a copy of the game so I could use the ROM legally. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And she never fucking played it.
Oh.
she launched it. She launched it. She sat down, played for 15 minutes, and that was it.
I think
even though she was asking for it over and over and over and over and over again.
There was a PC game that I was in love with back in the day. It was called Deathgate. And I could not find it anywhere. Thomas bought it for me, and I passed it in like 3 hours. I was like, this was the best thing ever. It was like the first ever like PC text adventure game that like kind of made its way into PC gaming, like with a this like you kind of have to like go around and find the things on the screen and like go back to these places and get the pieces of the puzzle that you need to get to the further places. But it was so good.
NetHack.
NetHack?
Seriously, one of the greatest ASCII games ever made, still maintained to this day.
Really?
Yes, it is fucking amazing.
Can you pass it though? Like, do we need it? Because
it's possible to pass. I think 10, 15 people ever have beat the game. Yeah. It is roguelike, like Rogue wishes it was as tough as this.
Right.
You're basically like explaining retro Dark Souls. That's pretty much what you're doing.
But it's ASCII.
Right, but it's retro Dark Souls. That's how Dark Souls. It's like the person who made Dark Souls and thought up the person who had the dream child
is a complete
Dark Souls.
Sadist. Total sadist.
Apparently, they grew up playing that game.
What, NetHack?
Yeah. Apparently, they grew up playing that game, and they're like, get used to disappointment.
Oh yeah, seriously.
It's a total failure. Good job.
Get used to disappointment and losing all your shit and starting over again from scratch.
Yep, that's NetHack.
Same. I'm a total Nintendo girl too. I have like every Nintendo system except for like the original Game Boy.
I have an original Game Boy.
I don't have that.
I have the original green screen Game Boy with the contrast dial with no backlight, so at nighttime you're fucked.
No, they made an attachment for that.
Oh, I know. I had one.
I used to work at Toys R Us, so when that was actually out, when the first PlayStation came out, like I was working at Toys R Us. That and Neo Geo and TurboGrafx 16.
Oh my god, I love Neo Geo. Like seriously.
Neo Geo was awesome, but TurboGrafx 16 was actually a misnomer because it wasn't 16-bit graphics. It was more like 12.5 graphics, and they kind of lied to everybody. So,
but the Atari Jaguar truly was 64-bit, but they were so far ahead of the curve that they fucked themselves right out of a market.
I used to work for Atari Midway, and as a tester.
Jesus, dude! You really did work everywhere.
He did.
You hear my work history, and I'm like, yeah, I used to work for Atari Midway. You know, when they were Atari/Midway, not when they were just Atari, but Atari/Midway. I used to be a game tester. That was the good times. That was when Teletubbies first was starting to come out.
God.
And we had people from the European office sending us VHS of Teletubbies so that we could watch it in the office and be like, what the fuck are we watching?
Well, first off, I have to get as high as these people are in order to do anything with this.
Jesus Christ. I mean, really?
The moment I saw the baby face of the sun, I was like, no. Nope.
Yeah.
Creepy as fuck.
Have you seen what that baby's grown up to be?
No.
Yeah, look it up.
Oh, God.
Just look it up.
I have to say that Teletubbies created this whole bullshit nonsense of children needing to see everything 47 times in a row because, oh, look, I've got something on my tummy and I'm going to play it for you 9 times. And like, is this the entire fucking episode?
No. But scientifically speaking, it's been shown that repetition does encourage like knowledge and retention.
Right, but do they need to retain the nonsense? Because it's not really. It's just like.
So I'm looking at a picture of her right now, and I'm not sure if that's baby fat from giving birth to a baby, or if her face really is that round. But she's not creepy like she was back then.
Well, because it was a face on the sun.
Well, yeah. But I mean,
the disembodied head floating in the sky.
Now her baby looks fucking identical to what she looked like.
You know, some people have perfected cloning. Just saying. Just saying. We have.
People think we have, yeah.
Yeah,
like,
we have.
How is it that your daughter and his son look exactly like y'all? Like, well, I don't know.
It was genetics.
Yeah. And then Kat saying that she didn't play on a computer, PC, until I was in my 30s. I didn't own a PC until I moved out. I had to get... my dad was like, not going to have a computer around here. There's no need for it. I'm like, it's kind of the future.
The world says different.
So my first computer, a Texas Instruments 486 DX, 40 megahertz with 40 megs of RAM and a 400 megabyte hard drive.
You had megabytes?
Yeah, I had megabytes.
TM133.
My dad inherited an original IBM PS2 with 1 megabyte of memory. It could be upgraded to 2.
That's crazy.
I had to learn MS-DOS 6.2 in order to do anything.
Oh, God. MS-DOS 6.2 was such a downgrade from 6.1. But, yeah.
I'm just saying, like, that. Yeah. I had to learn all that bullshit in order to make shit run.
Yep. I love DOS. Stupid. I'm sorry. I love DOS.
Yeah.
But I love Unix. So...
so here's another feather in the cap. Just gonna say, I used to work for a CD imaging company in Menlo Park as a digital. Anyways, I used to work on a SunSpark station, and I was basically photoshopping people's pictures and video and everything in. What was it, like the 90s? Back in the day, like another feather in my cap as
We're
far
just
as like jobs.
blurring shit, or
No, we were removing specs and stuff
okay.
like that.
Oh,
because it was
despeckling.
like- yeah, it was a SunSpark Station 20 that I was working on, and it was Menlo Park, of course, in the Silicon Valley, and it was ridiculous. It was an imaging company, and yeah, I was a digital imaging technician.
Back before digital imaging was really a thing.
Just saying, it's another job that I've done.
System.
Oh, Jesus.
What is Solaris?
Solaris is the operating system for Sun.
Yep.
I was one of the only people
It's a Unix-based system.
that knew how to actually navigate the operating system and use it to its full extent. And I was like, hey, did you know that we could do this with this printer? Hey, did you know we could do this? And like, wait, we can? Wait, what? We can? I'm like, where did all this knowledge rot come from? Because I know that when this was installed, somebody knew all this.
Yeah, we're dealing with a lot of that at work. Like, oh, well, all of the people that know this system are gone now. They've retired. It's like,
And we still need help with this system.
right? It's like, oh, let's create a new system. Good luck.
Yeah, do you know Cobalt?
I've never used Cobalt. I've looked at it. I'm sure I could figure it out if I had to.
No, I get that, but that's just one of those things of like,
Right.
hey, this is a system that nobody else knows except for like old timers, and
Yeah.
those people aren't here anymore.
Right.
Guess what?
Can we
Program
call
in
them?
Cobalt.
Can we call them in their retirement? Is that the thing? Like,
I
hey,
do
guys,
remember during the Y2K thing that there was a huge demand for Cobalt programmers. I almost jumped on it just to capitalize for a little bit, but I was like, I really like the job that I have.
It's so funny, like looking back at like Y2K and like that with a big old nothing burger, and isn't that?
My company actually had a legitimate Y2K bug.
Did they really?
Yeah, they did.
Everybody did for the most part.
Now, we were running BSD Unix, Berkeley System Design, and we paid the $1,000 for the operating system plus the other $1,000 for the source code. And so we would get patches way in advance. Now, the one bug that we had, if you were online, when it flipped from 1999 to 2000, suddenly your usage log went to the negative thousands of hours. But since it was $15 a month unlimited and we didn't have any metered kind of anything, people are going, hey, since I used negative 14,000 hours, do I get a refund? I'm like, no. And that was our one and only bug.
I think that Office Space actually did a really good example of like the Y2K thing and like the concern, because there were some computing systems that, not to get into like super tech talk like we're doing, but
Geek speak, yeah.
and geek speak, sorry, pardon
Excuse
me.
you.
Most of the banking software was not Y2K ready as late as 1998.
No, because they didn't know how long this computer thing was going to happen for.
It's just a
so
fad.
they just
Two-digit years.
Yeah, to cut corners and to cut costs, they omitted the first part of that code.
Yeah.
That calendar. No, year.
It's month, day, 19 year.
No, but they did a 2-digit year instead of the 4-digit year, so 2000 could have been 1900, 1800, 1700.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
It was always assumed 19, though.
There was a concern, but because people realized it way ahead of time, they were able to offset that and not let it happen.
Yeah.
But the
remember
panic
that.
was still the panic.
Yeah, it sure was.
As it always is. Panic is always going to be panic, and the problem is that normal society perpetuates that panic, and that's the problem. Like my friend went to a New Year's Eve party strapped, and
Oh my god!
because he didn't know. Well, the neighborhood he was in, like I don't necessarily blame him, but like, and
Because at that point, we don't know how many robots we've been living amongst. At that
no,
point.
it wasn't the robots thing. It was just people in society in general.
Yeah.
Like, how are they going to react
They're going
to
to
shit
buy up
going wrong?
all of the toilet paper.
No, at that point though, that wasn't the culture that was in place.
I know. I know that.
And it was like, no, he went to I mean, mind you, his parents were cops, and so he had things that he probably shouldn't have had, but at the same time, he went to a party strapped, and I was just like, hey man, just be careful, be okay, and be mindful. That's pretty much, that's all I was telling him. I was just like, I want you to take care of yourself. I want you to make sure that you're okay. I want you to make sure that everybody else that you're around is okay as well. And he was just like, all right, man, all right, cool. And I've been working with this guy for a while, and we were, real good friends. Like, we grew a really good, oh, I miss that dude. Oh, I don't talk to him anymore. He well, no, because I mean, he dropped off the planet. Like, he dropped off the planet.
Yeah.
Like, with his upbringing and everything, like, he is very, like, gung-ho and just, let's prepare for everything. And I'm like, okay, I agree with that, but at the same time, like, at that time, I was ignorant of the whole situation. Like, yes, now in the position that I'm at and where I am in my life, yes, I want to be prepared for what is the possibility. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean I'm banking on it. It doesn't mean I'm guaranteeing it. It just means that I'm like, okay, here are the possibilities. Yeah. And I've done that throughout, like, my life and everything.
Risk benefit analysis.
Right. There you go. Thank you. An analytic term.
Right.
Yes.
Jesus.
Yep.
But there was a quote that Men in Black actually nailed it, and you were alluding to it, which is, a person is smart.
Yep.
Yeah.
People are dumb, panicky animals, and you know it.
Yes, it's true.
It's very true.
They knew. 100 years ago, they knew the Earth was the center of the galaxy, or the center of the universe.
Yes.
I'm not going to finish the rest.
So that's a good one, though. That's a good one.
Yeah. That is a really good conversation between J and K with the whole thing, just because it's like, no, because that is a good representation of society and groupthink.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you want to bring it down to, like, I don't want to necessarily say a corporate level, but more of like a sociological, like, construct, right? A sociological construct is groupthink. You get one person, two person, three person, 5 persons, 10 people. Those 10 people are going to be more influential, and people that are having differing opinions are not going to necessarily say what they're thinking, even if it contradicts with them. The whole thing happened with the Challenger shuttle, right? The Challenger,
everyone says it's fine. Everything's fine.
No, and there were engineers that were blowing the whistle and setting off alarms, and they're like, "Well, you don't know for sure," and they're like, "The math says this is going to be disastrous."
Yep.
When did 2 + 2 = 5?
Right. Really? When did guaranteed seal failure mean it's not going to fail?
Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
And you know how close we were to losing Big Bird? The lady that did the voice of Big Bird was supposed to be on it.
Oh, really?
And last minute, like almost literally last minute, said, "No, I'm not doing this." Like within 24 hours of launch, went, "I'm not doing this." Just had a bad feeling.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. We almost lost Big Bird.
Serendipity.
I don't know. With today's climate, I think we've already lost Jim Henson's workshop. Just saying.
No comment.
That's fine. No, that's fine. My own opinion, my personal opinion, is like we've lost Jim Henson's workshop because we have lost his vision.
Well, it's like if you look at Apple today versus Apple with Steve Jobs versus Apple when Steve Jobs was fired or kicked off versus Apple before Steve Jobs was let go.
Yep.
Apple only was great when Steve Jobs was at the helm.
Agreed.
Jim Henson is the Muppets. Jim Henson is Children's Television Workshop. Frank Oz is a huge part of it, but Jim Henson wasn't.
Yep.
Well, and Brian Henson tried to take on the tradition, though, too. But unfortunately, the company was sold to German investors, German-owned company, and it's going a different route lately. And
it's going by whatever the investors want.
What is Jim Henson's workshop is puppetry even doing anymore?
They actually still do. Okay, so the
Sesame
revival,
Street still exists.
Yeah, But Jim Henson's workshop, though, in particular, they still do classic puppetry for movies and shows that request them to be a part of it, like to have that classic puppetry versus CGI animation.
And they are still making Muppet movies.
Are they?
Is that the one, the
Yeah.
cop one with Melissa McCarthy? Was that them?
No.
No? It was different?
No. They have no part in that one.
Was Jim Henson involved in, or his studio, was it involved in the Dark Crystal
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So they are still involved, and they're still actually trying to keep that art alive.
Yeah.
It is an art.
So the most recent one was Muppets Most Wanted in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
So they are still very much still alive.
I barely remember that movie.
I don't think I watched that one.
No. I can imagine like being an artist like that and having this vision, you know, and I think that there's like this whole Walt Disney vision, and that was it's like well, now Walt Disney's owned by who? You know, like who owns Disney? Like, is it the
stockholders?
Right. Well, I mean, and here's something that's going to make you want to cry. In 2000, Disney's stock had dropped down to $5 a share.
Well, and that's my question though, is that, you know, like there's a lot of, like they say, like six people own the world, you know, and who owns Disney now? Because there's a lot of shit on Disney that I'm like, what am I watching? Like, what is going on here? And is this really true to Walt Disney's vision? You know, I
doubt it at this point.
Yeah, that's why when Starlink went up, I cried to myself because I was like, okay, so
all right, kid... so just so you know, the Walt Disney Company is a publicly traded corporation owned by its shareholders. The Lorraine Powell Jobs Trust, run by Steve Jobs' widow, is the largest shareholder, owning 7.27% of the shares.
Whose widow? Did you say Steve Jobs?
Yeah, Steve Jobs was the CEO of Disney and the CEO of Pixar and the CEO of Apple all at the same time. He was the first person ever to be a CEO of 3 major corporations. Wow. He's the reason why Pixar and Disney merged, because he was the CEO of Pixar and he brokered the deal with Disney, which allowed Pixar to take off like it did. And it's also why Pixar and Disney and Apple have such a tight relationship. Like, everything Pixar always thanks Apple. Everything Disney always thanks Apple. Because all their shit that they do is done on Apple.
When I worked at Apple, there were pictures of Jim Henson on the wall. Like, seriously.
Yeah, that was before when I was there.
Oh, okay. So I also worked at Apple.
But yeah, I worked.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I did work in the professional applications part, and I actually did help with some people at Pixar that were having issues.
I was one of 3 people that were PC.
There were a lot of PC people when I was there.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that changed. They were like, I was one of 3. That was it.
Yeah, no, it changed a lot. The culture changed a lot because the gaming culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, Apples aren't known for gaming.
No, they're known for production.
Multimedia. Yeah.
Yeah.
Multimedia. The producers. Oh man. Yes, so I did work at Apple too. How many jobs can I name?
That's the thing.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, how many jobs can I name?
All right, so did you work for Short Circuit?
Like the movie?
No, oh sorry, Circuit City. Circuit City.
No, but I know what you're talking about. Before they were out of business, yeah.
They were, oh my god, the dumbest thing I have ever heard that they did. They were already in dire straits. They had already filed Chapter 11, protection from our investors. And they were like, okay, well, we need to cut costs around here. So if anybody here can explain, what was it? It was between progressive scan and passive scan. If they know the difference, they're fired because they know too much and they can demand too much to pay. And then after they got rid of all those people, The person that came up with the idea, guess what they got? A huge bonus! While under Chapter 11.
Yeah, that's...
Wow.
I don't know what to say about that. That's short-sightedness, and you're setting your company up to fail at that point.
Yeah, that was just one of them. I read there was a big breakdown of like the fall from Chapter 11 to the end, and that was all they did was really stupid ideas just so they could get paid huge bonuses, as opposed to, investing in the company and bringing themselves out of dire straits. They basically just took that Chapter 11, took the money that they had, and they just robbed the place blind and left the corpse to rot.
It is fascinating because what you bring up also attributes to another job that I had where I was in a cellular communications company, and this particular company knew that they were going to be bought out by another company. And
I think I know who you're talking about already.
So what they had done is agree to everything, make the person whole, and then we'll deal with it after it. And I was like, you're basically undercutting your own stock price, as well as like I wasn't even in the position that I am in right now, but I was already thinking about those things. And I was like, you understand what you're doing. You're basically undercutting your profit at this point, and this is bullshit. But they did it anyways, just to make sure that like the numbers look good.
Yeah, to make it look attractive to whoever's buying them out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That
was what it was.
There was a hospital automation company I used to work for, where when they decided it was time, they worked for one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in existence. Like, it was a little division. It was one of the smallest divisions in the entire company, but it was the most profitable by margin. But the big company that owned it said, we're sick of your shit. You guys are fucked. Your leadership is fucked. You guys are incapable of being fixed. I mean, we had the lean process people come in and the Sigma 6 people come in.
Oh, God, Sigma 6.
Yeah. Now.
Oh, God.
They said the worst company they ever had to deal with, it took them a year to map out all the processes before they could even start working on it. It took them 2.5 years to map out ours. And they left. They went, you guys are beyond being fixed. Well, when the major company cut them, at that point, they went, okay, well, we need to become attractive for a buyer. They only looked at how much you made per hour and started firing you. Didn't care about what you knew. Didn't care about the value that you brought.
Yeah.
Just gone.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And they did eventually get bought out, but oh, God. It was dysfunctional when I was there. Just to give you an idea of how bad it was, in the tech department, it took a year to even get proficient enough to actually be trusted to do your job. A year of you were there as a trainee basically for an entire year.
Yeah.
HR came down because they heard how bad we were. It was so bad, HR left and wrote a letter to the CEO and to the highest ranking VP for this company saying the only fix for your company is to fire everyone and start from scratch. It is too toxic an environment. And their reply was, we can't do that because that's all that knowledge would be gone. It's all tribal knowledge. Nothing's documented.
Well, they've got time. They can document all their shit.
And nobody was willing to document because they knew
Yeah.
if they documented, they were cutting their own throats.
Yeah.
I mean, it was literally like an HR person was next to me, and the person that worked with me in the same cubicle with me turned to them and said, "Hey, sugar tits, what's up?"
Yeah.
It was that toxic.
Yeah, like it's not only like in this company, but there's previous companies I've worked with that there are people that they want to be the go-to guy because that they think that makes them irreplaceable. But it's like, yeah, but you could get into a car accident tomorrow and like your death would actually be the death of this department because
Right.
that knowledge is not like there's going to have to be research and like all the things, you know. And it's
Right.
like, and there are people that will live forever that have this knowledge that they refuse to put into documentation.
But-
It's like, well, part of my job as an analyst is not just to know the things, but it's to document the things that I know. And
Right.
like, how do you get away with not documenting? Like, what the fuck?
Right. And here's another thing to think about, and we're going to have to wrap it up after this because we only have a minute left, which is if you become irreplaceable, you also become unpromotable.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
Oh,
Sorry, we can't put you where you need to go.
Sounds really familiar.
So anyway,
Anyway,
thank you guys for joining us.
thank you
thank
so
you.
much.
This was a
It was
blast.
wonderful having you guys.
And we'll have
So
to do
much fun.
a crossover onto your side.
Yes, definitely.
Only if you come to our house.
I will.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
It'll
So
be on a Friday.
None of this. I get enough of this from work. So
I
I
understand.
like people, and I like people being in front of me and being able to like talk to them in person.
We literally have 30 seconds left, and the outro's playing. I'm E,
I'm C.
I'm Megan.
And I'm Tommy.
and we'll see you later.
The time has come.
But now do you see?